Chapter 1518. 1518's mind was clear. Holy light shone exorcism light shield. His calm voice resounded within the array. Soon after, the entire space was enveloped by light. Above their heads, a halo that was like the sun shone on them. Strips of light that were like talisman paper floated around them. There were also light shields that revolved around everyone. The powerful light energy stunned all of them. What a powerful light energy! Old who was closest to them, could not help but exclaim in shock. Around them, the members of the Judgment Mercenary group had shocked expressions. They looked at the holy light shining above their heads, and the light shields in front of them. They were extremely shocked. The solid light shield floating around them felt that it could at least withstand the attack of a half-step void interpretation stage powerhouse. Such terrifying light power is probably not lower than. Open the formation. Let the members of the Judgment Mercenary group kill the demonic beasts around us. The old woman gulped as she felt the power of light in front of her. Before she could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by Wang Xian. Yes. At this moment, the old woman looked at Wang Xian with a hint of respect in her eyes. She quickly removed the formation. Kill these demons first. The leader of the Judgment Mercenary group looked at Wang Xian with a change in expression. When he saw the formation being removed, he ordered his members loudly. Leader, I'm afraid. The light energy around you can protect you. The leader of the Judgment Mercenary group immediately shouted loudly. Roar! Kill them! Before the Judgment Mercenary group could make a move, a group of heavenly moat demons charged over. Kill! Everyone from the Judgment Mercenary group gritted their teeth and attacked the heavenly moat demons. The rest of you, assist them from the back. The old woman immediately shouted when she saw this. A few women and girls immediately used the light support divine ability. As a radiant priest, although his combat strength was weak, his support was very strong. Roar, eat them! When the formation was broken, 25 Heaven's Moat demons charged over. Each of them had at least the strength of a rank 9 transcendent. They charged towards the members of the Judgment Mercenary group. The members of the Judgment Mercenary group, who were only at the level of a rank 6 or rank 7 transcendent, felt the dark energy charging towards them. They gulped in fear. They looked at the light shields, holy light illumination, and exorcism surrounding their bodies. They gritted their teeth and charged towards the demons. A rank 7 transcendent met a half-step void interpretation demon with his sword. At the moment of collision, he closed his eyes in fear. Kiki, go to hell! When the demon saw that this weak human dared to attack him, his eyes revealed a look of disdain. His sharp claws slashed at the sword in his hand. However, when the heavenly moat demon's claws landed on the longsword that was illuminated by the holy light easily broke through his sharp claws. A painful and unbelievable voice rang out. What? The transcendent level 7 middle-aged man opened his eyes. When he saw this scene, a look of shock appeared on his face. Go to hell! He immediately reacted, and the long sword in his hand that was covered in light slashed towards the heavenly moat demon. The powerful power of light directly broke through the heavenly moat demon's body. A blood-curdling scream sounded, and the heavenly moat demon died. Haha, I actually killed him, haha. His face revealed an excited expression as he shouted loudly. Roar! At this moment, miserable screams came from the surroundings, causing him to be slightly stunned. He hurriedly looked over and discovered that every member of his team was brandishing the sharp swords in their hands, easily killing one heavenly moat demon after another. This was especially so for the group leader and the others, who had even killed 2 to 3 heavenly moat demons. These were heavenly moat demons that were on the same level as the group leader. Shocking. Incomparable shocking. Bathed in the power of light, they were actually able to easily kill demon beasts that were 2 or 3 levels higher than them. Moreover, even if they were hit, the light shield in front of them could easily block the moat demon's attacks. Wasn't this light support too terrifying? Was the support effect of a radiant priest so strong? Yes, But only an extremely powerful radiant priest could do it. Run! There's a powerful radiant priest among them, run immediately. At this moment, a moat demon let out a terrified cry. Its entire body turned into a black shadow as it fled into the depths of the forest. The remaining few moat demons didn't hesitate at all as they fled into the distance in fear. Darkness restrained light, and light similarly restrained darkness. A powerful radiant priest could easily restrain them. This. At the back, the old woman and the rest looked on in shock. Old Hu's hands trembled as he looked at Wang Xian and gulped. Haha, they died just like that. 20 natural moat demons were killed by us, just like that. We're rich. Too strong, we're simply too strong. The heavenly moat demons actually escaped. Li Si and the other members of the Judgment Mercenary Group shouted with excitement on their faces. They looked at the corpses on the ground with burning eyes. The corpses of the heavenly moat demons were very valuable. The leader of the Judgment Mercenary Group looked at the corpses one by one, but he was shocked in his heart. He knew that they were able to kill the heavenly moat demons so easily because of that young man. His strength. Looking at the power of light that was dissipating slowly, a look of respect appeared in his eyes. Come over here and thank that powerhouse. The leader of the Judgment Mercenary Group shouted softly. He looked at Wang Xian and walked over slowly. The people from the Judgment Mercenary Group were slightly stunned. Following that, they looked at Wang Xian in awe. They immediately walked over. Li Si, wasn't I very powerful just now? A girl ran over. She wanted to ask why he left her there and escaped alone. However, Li Si raised his head slightly and said to the girl. His eyes were filled with the joy of surviving a calamity and the excitement of killing a powerful demonic beast. This made the girl unhappy. All of you are very powerful, but I hate all of you. Wang Xian looked at the people from the Judgment Mercenary Group. When he heard Li Siwei's voice to the girl, a faint mocking expression appeared on his face as he said coldly. Huh. His words caused the faces of the people from the Judgment Mercenary Group to stiffen slightly. Slowly they became embarrassed. Old Hu and the rest also looked at Wang Xian in astonishment, and at this mysterious young man. Young master, our judicial mercenary group was in the wrong just now. We were in the wrong. Please give us a chance. The leader of the judicial mercenary group hurriedly took 2 steps forward and said in a low voice. Give you a chance. Am I not thinking clearly? Chapter 1519. 1519 passed down the idea. Give you all a chance. Am I not thinking straight? Wang Xian looked at the more than 20 people in the Judgment Mercenary Group and said slowly. His words once again stunned everyone around him. Not thinking straight. What kind of thinking was not thinking straight? Sir, what do you have to do to be able to forgive us? The leader of the Judgment Mercenary Group's expression changed slightly. He took a deep breath and spoke respectfully once again. They had experienced the terror of this young man earlier. He was sure that this young man in front of him had the strength of the insightful void stage. With such an expert, even a radiant priest would be able to destroy them. I became a radiant priest so that I wouldn't kill. Wang Xian looked at them and said slowly. His words caused the expressions of the people around him to change again. Old Hu was stunned. He looked at Wang Xian and felt a familiar feeling. This feeling was similar to the feeling he had when he cultivated the power of darkness and was invaded by the darkness in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom a long time ago. Then what do you want to do? Li Si asked loudly with an embarrassed expression when she heard Wang Xian's words. Purify all of you, purify all the filth, purify all the evil. Wang Xian slowly raised the scepter of light in his hand. A ray of light shot towards them directly. Not good. You. The ray of light shot towards everyone in the Judgment Mercenary Group, causing their faces to reveal a look of horror instantly. The great joy of surviving the calamity was enveloped by this dazzling ray of light. However, the expressions on their faces were completely frozen. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bang! 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 The sound of weapons falling could be heard. It was as if they had hit the hearts of everyone around them. The old woman, 3 women, and 4 girls looked over in a daze. Especially the girl who was standing beside Li Si. She stared at Wang Xian in fear. Why did you kill them? Didn't you say no? Her eyes were filled with fear as she cried out involuntarily. Uncle Hu, purification isn't killing, right? Wang Xian smiled and said to Old Hu, who was standing at the side. This made Old Hu slightly stunned. Following that, a bitter smile appeared on his face. It doesn't count, it doesn't count. Purification is purifying all filth and evil. It's not killing. He was the one who told Wang Xian this sentence. He didn't feel anything when Wang Xian purified the Judgment Mercenary Group. Not only were these people the first to escape when they were in danger, they even wanted to use them to resist for some time. For such people, it was fine to purify them. Now he already had some guesses in his heart as to why this mysterious young man would say those strange words to him. Slaughter, darkness, evil, purification. There's no one left, and you still say that this isn't slaughter, you. When the girl heard Wang Xian's ridiculous words, her expression turned a little awkward. A person like you is really annoying. Wang Xian looked at the girl and said expressionlessly. What? You? What are you doing? Don't kill me, no. Don't. Seeing Wang Xian's expressionless face, the girl panicked. Only then did she realize what kind of person she was talking to. She was talking to a madman, a madman. Killing wasn't called killing, it was called purifying. Just now, he had said that he was disgusted and had directly purified everyone in the Judgment Mercenary Group. Now would he? When she thought of this, she was completely terrified. Her body went limp as she begged for mercy. You should go. I've saved your life, and you still don't know how to repay me. A person like you has no right to follow us. Old Hu looked at the girl and said directly. He looked at Wang Xian and didn't say anything. Okay. Wang Xian nodded his head and looked at the old lady and the rest. Let's continue on our journey. All right. The old lady nodded her head quickly and looked at Old Hu. Old Hu nodded his head at her. Let's go, young man. Let's get in the car and let them drive us for a while. We will be there in a few hours. Old Hu patted Wang Xian on the shoulder, and the two of them walked over. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment before nodding his head with a smile. The old lady heaved a sigh of relief when she saw them enter. This a simple mission actually attracted such a terrifying young man. However, it's fortunate that we have this young man. Otherwise, we would have been dead already. A woman exclaimed. From the beginning, they felt that this young man had a gentle expression and a good temper. They had thought that this young man might be weak. But in the blink of an eye, he had annihilated the entire Judgment Mercenary Group. No, he had cleansed them. The word cleansed was indeed quite suitable to be used just now. The Judgment Mercenary Group was just a bunch of trash. Let's go. That young man saved our lives. We must know how to be grateful. The old woman's eyes flickered as she nodded. As she spoke slowly, she went to the carriage and personally drove it. Her gaze swept past the girl who was still in shock and left immediately. As for her life and death, it would depend on herself. That was because others had already saved you once. Young man, were you invaded by the soul of darkness? In the carriage, Old Hu looked at Wang Xian curiously and asked. Soul of darkness? Wang Xian was slightly taken aback as he looked at Old Hu in astonishment. He had a very good impression of Old Hu. Although there was a huge age difference between the two of them, they were always able to chat together. Moreover, it was also because of Old Hu that he was able to release a few shackles. Aren't you? The soul of darkness is a group of evil spirits in the ruins of the divine kingdom. They are formed from the darkness attribute, giving birth to spiritual intelligence. They are violent and brutal. Once they are invaded by the soul of darkness, they will lose their rationality if they can't withstand it. In the ruins of the kingdom of God, thousands of people lose their rationality and die every year after being invaded by the soul of darkness. You look very similar to me, but you can suppress yourself a little. Lao Hu continued to speak to Wang Xian. Soul of darkness? Then my situation is similar to this. If I am under intense stimulation, or if I kill too many people, I will lose my rationality too. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment before nodding his head. It is very difficult to be invaded by the soul of darkness. I can only rely on myself to maintain my mind. If I am strong enough, I might be able to get rid of it. Young man, in your current state, you are already very good. It is not bad to be a priest of light. Do you still plan to follow us to the Holy Medicine Clinic? Old Hu asked Wang Xian. Yes, of course. I'm basically not losing my mind now. I'm looking for a complete solution. Wang Xian said ambiguously. Although his current condition was different from the soul of darkness that Old Hu mentioned, it was somewhat similar. Going to the clinic would allow him to have a better understanding of the darkness attribute and the light attribute. Chapter 1520. 1520 Priest Wang from the Holy Medicine Shop. Young man, if you go to the Holy Medicine Shop, with your strong light power, you can definitely become an important priest of light in our Holy Medicine Shop. When the time comes, I will tell the owner about your matter. I will be by your side to help you in the future. Although I am not strong, I have experienced the ups and downs of life and know a lot of things. Young man, if you have anything, just ask me. Maybe I can give you some advice. Old Hu was a very open-minded person. Even though Wang Xian was very strong, his attitude did not change. This made Wang Xian very comfortable. Coming to this unfamiliar place, he could also learn a lot from Old Hu. I'll go tell Tang Mei about you. You stay here now. Old Hu patted his shoulder and walked out with a smile. Wang Xian sat in the car and looked at the location of his heart. About 80% of his heart was pitch black, while the remaining 20% was bright. I still need to have a deeper understanding of the light. I need to master and use more of the power of light, Wang Xian thought to himself. When he became a demonic dragon, his understanding of the darkness had reached a terrifying level. At this moment, only by improving his understanding and utilization of light could he achieve a balance. Young man, we have arrived at the ruins of the Kingdom of God. Do you want to come out and take a look? Not long after, Old Hu's voice came from outside. All right. Wang Xian nodded immediately and went outside. He looked around. This is... When Wang Xian walked out and looked ahead, he revealed a look of shock. It was a huge empty space with the ground paved with pitch-black stone slabs. An aura of desolation rushed over. He looked around and saw various buildings. It was similar to the cemetery of the human and demon. There were no cities here, and they were all built separately. What shocked him was a huge black building dozens of kilometers away. The building looked like an altar. There was a huge body on it. The body was made of black stone, and it looked like it was looking down at the entire world. That person was once the owner of the Divine Kingdom ruins. Later generations called him Demigod Hyaming. Demigod Hyaming was a terrifying mighty figure in the ancient times. He controlled the entire Divine Kingdom forest, and his strength was heaven and earth. Legend had it that at that time, he wasn't even afraid of the dragon race. However, Demigod Dark Abyss had died on his way to becoming a god. He had left behind this god country ruins a huge space. Their location was similar to the area in front of the palace. This area was 500 kilometers long. Within these 500 kilometers, it had become a place where vast areas gathered. The 3 superpowers and 8 first-rate forces had all gathered here. All of them were here to obtain the God Country Ruins treasures. Back then, Demigod He Ming had collected a terrifying amount of resources in order to break through to become a god. These resources could easily be used to build a dynasty. Some even said that if one could obtain all the treasures in the God Country ruins, they could build an empire. Over the past tens of thousands of years, countless experts had come to this place. There was even an empire's longevity realm expert who wanted to enter, but he never came out. However, even at the borders, there were terrifying resources. Every day, millions of people would enter the God Country ruins. Unfortunately, tens of thousands of years had passed, and 20% of the veil of the God Country ruins had not been lifted. Because Demigod Dark Abyss was of the darkness attribute, the entire God Country ruins were filled with darkness creatures. There were even strange creatures like the Dark Soul. Some people said that it was formed from the remnant thoughts of the Dark Abyss demigod after he died. Because of the ruins of the divine kingdom, the light priest profession was born. There were many people around, and it was like a huge chaotic city. The deeper they went, the more luxurious it became, and the more orderly the plan became. The entire space seemed to be prohibited from flying. Everyone had to walk on the ground. Among the people who passed by, Wang Xian did not see anyone below level 5, or level 7 or 8 of transcendence. It was very common here. It gathered the powerful forces and elites of the entire vast region. One could imagine how many strong people there were. After driving for 3 hours, the carriage slowly stopped in front of a shop. The hiring association was located a few thousand meters away from the shop. This was considered a central location. This was a shop with a height of 10 stories. The words Holy Medicine Clinic were written on it. At the entrance, there were 2 beautiful women dressed in pure white clothes waiting for them. The entire clinic occupied an area of about 1,000 meters. Young Master Wang, this is our Holy Medicine Clinic. If you really want to become a priest of light, I'll bring you upstairs to meet our master. The old lady walked over and said to Wang Xian respectfully, if nothing goes wrong, I will stay in the Holy Medicine Clinic for a period of time. Wang Xian nodded his head. All right, follow me. The old lady nodded her head and brought him inside immediately. Wang Xian, Lao Hu and the rest followed behind. As for the few girls behind, they obviously didn't have the same treatment as Wang Xian. Chief Tang. The 3 of them walked in. The 2 beauties at the door immediately greeted him respectfully. There are 6 radiant priests at the Insightful Void level in our Holy Medicine Clinic. Each radiant priest at the Insightful Void level occupies a floor to treat the guests at the Insightful Void level. I am one of the main managers below the Insightful Void level. The main income of our clinic comes from this clinic. The old lady said to Wang Xian as she led him up the stairs. As soon as they entered the medical center, a strong light energy was transmitted over. The gentle energy made people feel refreshed as if they were bathed in spring. There were injured people entering the rooms one by one. There are a large number of dark creatures in the ruins of the Kingdom of God and the forest of the Kingdom of God. They are all extremely strange and have different treatment methods for all kinds of injuries. Our Holy Medicine Clinic is located in the ruins of the Kingdom of God. It can be considered to be a little famous. There are only 5 more famous than us. The old lady introduced to Wang Xian and walked up the stairs. The higher they went, the fewer patients there were. They went all the way to the top floor. The top floor had an area of 1,000 meters and was extremely luxurious. I can't do anything about it. Captain Yungu's bone corrosion poison is too deep. I can't deal with it. Captain Yungu can go to the Holy Light Clinic to seek the treatment of a stronger radiant priest. They had just reached the top floor when they saw an old man dressed in white with a scepter in his hand, speaking to a middle-aged man. Behind the middle-aged man were 5 or 6 middle-aged men, who were emitting a bloody aura. Sigh. My abdomen has been hit by the bone corrosion demonic flower's dark energy. If I don't deal with it, my strength will be affected by 50%. Since Priest Tang can't deal with it, I can only go to another medical hall to take a look. The middle-aged man was shirtless. He shook his head helplessly and put on his clothes. Bone-eroding demonic flower, bone-eroding poison. Wang Xian followed behind him. His eyes were sparkling as he looked at the middle-aged man's abdomen. Chapter 1521. 1521 Holy Medicine Clinic's Priest Wang. Hall Master, this young Master Wang wants to join our clinic. Young Master Wang is very strong. On the top floor of the Holy Medicine Clinic, the old lady saw that Leader Yungu and the rest were about to leave. When she saw the Hall Master looking over, she immediately asked, "Are there any rookies who are pretty strong?" Before the Hall Master could reply, a young man walked out from the room. He held some light spiritual herbs in his hands and said, "Master, I am in need of an assistant. If you are pretty strong, follow me." As the young man spoke, he looked at the old woman, old Hu Wang Xian and the rest. "Huh." The old woman was slightly stunned when she heard the young man's words. She looked at him in astonishment. All right. Chief Tang, it's the young man behind you, right? Leave him to Tianguang. The hall master nodded and instructed the old woman. Wang Xian did not look at the young man, nor the hall master of the Holy Medicine Hall. His gaze was still fixed on Captain Yungu and the rest who came to their side. Captain Yungu frowned slightly when he saw Wang Xian staring at his abdomen. However, he didn't say anything. Since the other party was from the Holy Medicine Clinic, he had to give him some face. I can remove the bone corrosion poison from this gentleman. Do you need me to help you remove it? At this moment, Wang Xian looked at Captain Yungu and the rest who were about to head downstairs and asked directly. They were about to leave when they heard Wang Xian's voice. They were stunned. Captain Yungu frowned and looked at Wang Xian with a hint of doubt in his eyes. The head and the young man beside him were also stunned. Hey, what nonsense are you spouting? Even my master couldn't solve the bone corrosion poison. If you can solve it, don't you understand the rules of the Radiant Priest? If you're not confident, don't treat people. Otherwise, you'll harm others and yourself. How dare you speak so arrogantly at such a young age? Humph. The young man immediately frowned and shouted at Wang Xian. Young man, you're still a newborn calf, aren't you? Captain Yungu squeezed out a smile and said faintly. Head, young Master Wang is very, very strong. I'll send you a message. I don't know if you've received it yet. However, at this moment, the old lady looked at Wang Xian. After hesitating for a moment, she spoke to the hall master again. Oh, the hall master revealed a look of surprise. The old lady had emphasized that she was very strong twice in a row. At the very least, she was stronger than her. He knew the old lady's strength very well. She was at the half-step void interpretation stage. She was not strong, but she was not weak either. To be able to make her emphasize that she was very strong, then. He sized up Wang Xian with a face full of astonishment. When Captain Yungu heard the old lady's words, he was also slightly stunned. He looked at Wang Xian, who had an indifferent expression, and asked with uncertainty, Can you really cure the bone corrosion poison in my body? Once the bone corrosion poison enters my stomach, it will be difficult for me to swallow the food. My strength will be weakened by at least 5 layers. The 5 internal organs of humans cannot be treated casually with the light attribute. Unless there is a 100% guarantee, it will cause side effects. Wang Xian said directly to Leader Yungu. You are really confident? When Leader Yungu heard Wang Xian's words, he revealed a look of surprise on his face. He quickly took 2 steps forward. Young man, how did you know? The leader was also slightly shocked. He only found out about it after checking his light attributes. This young man obviously did not know about it beforehand. However, he knew the result with just a glance. In this aspect, he was more powerful than him. 100%. Leader Yungu is not very strong. I can clear the dark energy in my stomach. Wang Xian said confidently. He looked at the head of the hall and said, Hello, head of the hall. I sensed it. The head of the hall was astonished. This young man was too arrogant. He directly said that Leader Yungu was not very strong. After all, Leader Yungu was at the 2nd level of the see-through realm. How could he not be strong? Even the people around the leader of Cloud Valley looked at Wang Xian in astonishment. Level 2 of the see-through realm was considered strong no matter where he was placed. Really? Young master, are you really 100% confident? Then please help me get rid of him. I will definitely reward you handsomely. When the leader of Cloud Valley heard Wang Xian's tone, he believed his words even more. He said quickly with some anticipation, Sure, take off your clothes. Don't resist. Wang Xian nodded his head. Captain Yungu took off his shirt without hesitation. The people beside him looked at Wang Xian in astonishment. Wang Xian moved his arm, and an illusory palm of light appeared in front of him. The hand of divine light. It's actually the hand of divine light. When the hand of divine light appeared in front of Wang Xian, the young man at the side revealed a shocked expression. The hand of divine light. One could tell Wang Xian's strength the moment he made his move. a void interpretation expert. A young priest of the light of void interpretation. This made the young man's expression a little awkward. Just now, he was thinking of asking the other party to be his assistant. This was a slap in the face. What a dazzling hand of divine light. What a strong control. The head of the hall looked at the hand of divine light and said with a face full of shock, "Don't resist." As Wang Xian spoke, the hand of divine light waved and directly cut a hole in his stomach. The hand of divine light directly opened up the flesh and blood on both sides. You be careful. Captain Yungu's family members at the side saw this scene and said nervously, "I'm fine. I didn't feel any pain at all. This young master's healing of light is really amazing." Captain Yungu waved his hand and looked at Wang Xian with a twinkle in his eyes. Wang Xian didn't answer him. Instead, he looked at his stomach. A third of his stomach was completely black. A special dark energy was attached to it. The one that injured me was a bone-eroding demonic flower of the third level of the see-through realm. Fortunately, I dodged it quickly. Otherwise, I would have lost my life. Captain Yungu looked down at his stomach and said with a frown, "The bone corrosion poison has already fused with my stomach. Light restrains darkness. The power of darkness is extremely pure and contains poison. Even if I am strong enough, the moment I cast light and remove the bone corrosion poison, my stomach would also be severely injured. By then, it would be even more difficult for me to recover from the injuries here." The pavilion master looked at Wang Xian and reminded him, "It's difficult to fuse attributes. Leader Yungu cultivates metal attributes. Even under special circumstances, it will take a long time to fuse them. Even if Leader Yungu cultivates darkness attributes, the power of darkness of the bone-eroding demonic flower is purer than that of Leader Yungu. Furthermore, there is a poison attached to it. Therefore, they are not fused as one." As Wang Xian spoke, he touched his stomach with the hand of divine light. The light rain, strong healing, and other light powers seeped into his stomach directly. Since the two did not fuse together, it was fine as long as they were aimed at a single thing and entered the bone corrosion poison. An ordinary radiant priest would not be able to sense a single thing that entered the bone corrosion poison, but Wang Xian could. Compared to light, he was better at darkness. When darkness entered his stomach, he could accurately sense every place where the power of darkness was located. Therefore, he could control the power of light and accurately remove every power of darkness without hurting his flesh and blood. Chapter 1522. 1522 1522 sounds traveled for 1,000 miles. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A special sound came from the stomach of the leader of Cloud Valley. Wang Xian controlled the hand of divine light to remove the bone corrosion poison with a calm expression. "Leader of Cloud Valley, did you feel the increase in pain in your stomach?" When the head of the pavilion saw this scene, he quickly asked the leader of Cloud Valley. "No, the pain has actually lessened a lot. Young master, is the bone corrosion poison being removed?" The leader of the Cloud Valley revealed an excited expression and quickly asked Wang Xian, "Don't move recklessly. It will be over soon." Wang Xian said faintly and didn't answer him. He looked a little cold and arrogant in the eyes of the people around him. However, his cold expression showed respect in the eyes of the people around him. What a terrifying control. He didn't use the powerful light energy to remove the poison in an instant. Instead, he used this precise control and used the power of light to envelop every bit of the power of darkness. Impressive. The hall master at the side stared at Wang Xian in astonishment. When he saw the bone corrosion poison in the stomach of Captain Yungu being slowly removed, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. An ordinary radiant priest would use the power of light directly to forcefully remove the poison in the other party's body. Once they encountered a slightly troublesome injury that involved the internal parts of the body and the vital parts of the head, they would be helpless. This required an even more powerful radiant priest to control the power of light to heal them bit by bit. This required a strong control over the power of light. The first type was very simple, but the second type was extremely difficult. In terms of control, he felt that he was inferior to this young man in front of him. Strong healing. The bone corrosion poison was slowly removed. Wang Xian waved his arm and released a divine ability. The area of his stomach that had been corroded by the dark power recovered little by little. The hand of divine light landed on the spot where the wound had been cut open. The wound healed quickly and did not leave any scars. Alright, it's really healed. Haha, thank you, young master, thank you, young master. A happy voice came from Commander Yin Gu's mouth. He felt his body and his face was full of excitement. This bone corrosion poison entered his 5 internal organs. It was a deadly thing. Once it was too long, it would be completely finished. At that time, he would not be able to use 50% of his strength, and his strength would be greatly reduced. Thank you, young master. Young master, your art of light is really amazing. You were able to treat an injury that even Hall Master Tang couldn't treat. You're really a young hero. That's right. You're too amazing. To possess such a powerful power of light at such a young age. You're really amazing among all the radiant priests. The few people beside leader Yin Gu spoke to Wang Xian with flattering expressions. The young man who was standing at the side looked at this young man in shock. His master didn't manage to heal his injuries, but he actually managed to heal them. Could it be that he was even stronger than his master? This made him a little dazed. There's no need. The fees will be charged according to the standards of the Holy Medicine Clinic. Wang Xian shook his head. As he spoke, he looked at the owner of the clinic. Young brother, you were the one who treated leader Yin Jiu's injuries. All the fees will be given to you. Head Tang gestured to leader Yin Gu. Alright. Young Master Wang, this is the fee. Please accept it. The old man beside leader Yin Gu quickly handed over an interspatial ring. Alright, I'll accept it then. Wang Xian nodded and accepted it without any hesitation. We have something to attend to first. If there are any friends who need treatment in the future, I'll definitely introduce them to this place. Leader Yin Gu exchanged a few pleasantries before turning around and leaving. Leader, this is the young master that I told you about not long ago. Did you not see him? Take a look at the communication stone plate now. The old lady said to leader Yin Gu immediately after the patient left. There were some things that Wang Xian couldn't say directly since he was present. The hall master was slightly stunned. He nodded when he saw Chief Tang's expression. He smiled at Wang Xian and said, I was treating Captain Yin Gu's illness just now, but I didn't see any news. As the hall master spoke, he took out the communication stone plate and took a look. His pupils constricted slightly as he kept it slowly. His eyes flickered. Young master, are you sure you want to join our holy medicine clinic? With your abilities, you can totally open your own clinic. After hesitating for a moment, the hall master asked Wang Xian. I'm sure. I might be staying in the clinic for a few months. Wang Xian nodded his head. Alright then. We will vacate the 4th floor of the clinic for you. According to the rules of the clinic, those above the void interpretation stage will be given 20% of the income to the clinic. However, little brother, you are very strong. You only need to give 10% of the income to the medical center. The head of the medical center said to Wang Xian. He nodded his head at the side. Head, leave the matter of this young man to me. I will be his assistant on the 4th floor in the future. Lao Hu said with a smile at the side. Sure. Lao Hu, make arrangements for this little brother. Sometimes little brother can come and look for me. The hall master said with a smile. Alright, thank you, hall master. Wang Xian nodded his head and followed Lao Hu down the stairs. Master, why did you give him such good conditions? The young man at the side asked in surprise when he saw Wang Xian and the rest leaving. This young man is very young, but he is very strong. It will be very beneficial for us if he stays in our clinic. It will be very good for our reputation. The owner of the medical center smiled. It was not easy to recruit a powerful radiant priest. A radiant priest who was above the dimension-sundering realm was a cash cow in the ruins of the divine kingdom. Forget about entering their holy medicine medical center. Even entering the divine light medical center was an easy task. Young man, come here. This fourth level used to be a place where a radiant priest of the dimension sundering realm would treat patients. However, that radiant priest has already left. I will get someone to clean it up. Old Hu brought Wang Xian to the clinic on the fourth level. The area of more than 1,000 square meters could be said to be very huge. On the fourth level, the place where patients were treated was only about 200 square meters. The rest of the places were for resting. The entire room was very luxurious. Old Hu called a few girls over to tidy up. Those girls looked at Wang Xian curiously. From time to time, they would look over and whisper to each other. Wang Xian scanned his surroundings and came to the balcony. From the balcony, he could see passers-by coming and going outside. He was very satisfied with the environment here. Young man, what time do you plan to receive the guests every day? Do you have any requests? For example, what kind of patients you can't treat, and why you won't receive them? Lao Hu said to Wang Xian, the identity of a radiant priest at the insightful void level is very honorable. You can treat the patients at a fixed time. Chapter 1523. 1523 1523 voices, spread across thousands of miles too. Wang Xian came to be a priest of light, mainly to seek the balance between light and darkness. To improve the tempering and control of the power of light, he needed to constantly use the power of light. Treating patients could greatly improve his control of the power of light, especially when the patients were all invaded by darkness. Speaking of which, he was considered a patient. From 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. during the day, I will accept any patients. I will not accept any clients during the rest of the time. Wang Xian thought for a moment and spoke to Old Hu. All right, I will inform the staff below who will receive the patients of the rules. Old Hu nodded. Have a seat, Old Hu. Do you want some tea? Wang Xian sat on the balcony and took out a pot of tea. He warmed it up and made himself a cup. I'm not used to it. I'd better drink. Lao Hu took out the wine pot and shook his head. He smiled as he looked at the stream of people on the road. There were humans and demonic beasts. Wang Xian looked at them and took out the sculptures one by one. Wow, are these sculptures made by you, young man? They're really beautiful. Are these beauties your lovers? Old Hu asked with a smile as he watched Wang Xian take out the sculptures and place them around him. Wang Xian also smiled as he looked at the sculptures of Guan Shuqing and the other girls. None of them were made by Ling Jian. He didn't touch anything related to Ling Jian, until he had completely blended the light and darkness together. The fourth floor was quickly tidied up. Wang Xian looked at the room he was staying in and was very satisfied. When he closed the door, it was extremely quiet. In the Holy Medicine Clinic, the news of a young priest at the insightful void level in their clinic was quickly transmitted to every staff member. This made many priests in the clinic very excited. In the clinic, 90% of them were female priests. Some of them were not too old. When they learned that there was a young radiant priest at the insightful void level, all the girls were extremely tempted. A person at the insightful void level could live a life of supremacy wherever he was placed. To be able to marry an insightful void level powerhouse, he was basically marrying into a wealthy family. It was very dark in the ruins of the kingdom of God. It was so dark that there was no moonlight in the sky. Looking into the distance, it looked like an abyss. The clinic was open 24 hours a day. However, Wang Xian would directly rest at night. I heard that when we were resting yesterday, a priest of light at the insightful emptiness realm came to the fourth floor. He was very young and a handsome man. Wow, really? A young priest of insightful emptiness realm? How handsome is he? I don't know. I hope that when we are receiving patients today, we will have the chance to visit the fourth floor. Two girls who were receiving patients at the door were chatting in a low voice. Hurry up, hurry up. Let's go to the clinic. The priest can definitely cure your arms. Absolutely. While the two girls were talking, three figures walked over in a hurry. One was a woman, one was a girl, and the other was a middle-aged man. At this moment, the middle-aged man's hands were hanging down. A faint black aura pervaded the air, and there was also a rotten smell. The woman and the girl's faces were filled with anxiety as they supported the bitter middle-aged man. "The three of you, do you want to see a doctor?" A female receptionist asked them. Yes, yes, we want to see the radiant priest. We want to get rid of the black water poison." The woman's face was filled with anxiety as she asked, "Is it serious? Follow me. I'll bring you to see the priest." The girl immediately said, "Fuck, this time it's really bad luck. My arm was directly crippled. At least I need to find the priest of light at the void interpretation level to heal it." At this moment, 4 or 5 big men walked over. One of them directly said to a girl who was receiving them, "The priest of the void interpretation level." The girl who was receiving them looked at the 4 or 5 big men. Her eyes flickered slightly, and she immediately said, Okay, I'll bring you there." "Oh, the smell of decay, it stinks." At this moment, a burly man suddenly sniffed the surroundings and looked at the middle-aged man and the 2 women. "Black water poison? The entire arm was actually corroded. This is considered crippled. It can either be directly cut off and used as a medicinal pill to nourish and grow, or it can cause a powerful radiant priest to regrow the severed arm." A burly man said indifferently, following closely behind him. "Regrow the severed arm." When the woman and girl heard these words, their faces slightly paled. The radiant priest's treatment was not cheap. In order to regrow the severed arm quickly, based on the injured person's strength, they needed to buy at least half-step void interpretation level medicinal pills. This was not something that 1 or 2 medicinal pills could solve. The stronger one was, the higher the level of the pills needed to regenerate the severed arm. The cost was very high. As for the radiant priest's severed arm, the price was about the same as this. This was something that needed at least a void interpretation level 2 priest to perform. Another type was using ordinary pills and cultivation to slowly recover. It could also regenerate the severed arm. However, this required at least a few years of time. From the looks of the 3 of them, they weren't rich. The middle-aged man's strength was only at transcendent level 7. "I'll bring you guys to take a look first," the female receptionist said to them. All right. The few of them nodded with sweat all over their faces. "I'll bring them to the 4th floor." The other female receptionist winked at the receptionist and led the few burly men to the 4th floor. "Let's go." The receptionist behind puffed her lips and said to the 3 people beside her. Then she led them inside as well. "Pastor Wang, a patient is here." On the 4th floor, Wang Xian was sitting on the balcony drinking tea while looking at the bright sunlight. Lao Hu's voice came from outside. "He's here. With a patient here." Lao Hu couldn't call Wang Xian a young man. A man? And such a young priest. 4 to 5 burly men were astonished when they saw Wang Xian walking over from the balcony. The bones in his arm were crushed, right? "Uncle Hu, how much is the fee according to the Holy Medicine Clinic?" Wang Xian glanced at the burly man in the middle, looked at old Hu and asked. "I showed him for a while just now. He recovered completely. If he doesn't need to take any elixirs, 800,000 upper-grade spirit stones." Old Hu said directly. 800,000 high-grade spirit stones was not a small amount. In the kingdom ruins, most people used high-grade spirit stones. 1 high-grade spirit stone was equivalent to 100 middle-grade spirit stones. 800,000 high-grade spirit stones. Before the burly men could speak, a surprised voice came from behind them. "Oh, why are you all shouting?" The few burly men looked behind them and realized that they were the 3 people they met at the door. They frowned and shouted, "Be quiet. If you want to treat them, treat them. If not, leave." Wang Xian said to them calmly, "Treat them. We have 800,000 upper-grade spirit stones." One of the burly men said directly, "Okay." Wang Xian nodded his head and waved his arm. Rays of light landed on the arms of the burly man. Chapter 1524. 1524 1524 voices spread far and wide. "It's done, it's completely done. That bastard Jiang Han, he actually used such a heavy hand when sparring with me. Let's go. This time I want to go back and take revenge. Rays of light fell on the big man's arm, and in less than a minute, his arm had completely recovered. He moved his arm, and a smile appeared on his face as he cursed. Awesome, so handsome. The two girls who received him at the back looked at each other and whispered to each other. Thank you, Master Priest. You have reached the insightful emptiness realm at such a young age. You are truly the pride of the heavens. A few burly men cupped their hands at Wang Xian and handed over the spiritual stones to Lao Hu before leaving. No, 800,000 high-grade spiritual stones is too expensive. Let's go. No, we have enough money. We have enough money to sell the place where we live. It's enough. Treat it, we'll treat it. Father, hurry up and treat it. The black water poison will enter the body through the blood circulation if we don't treat it for a long time. We have to treat it. It's fine. Just cut off your arm. Your arm is broken? How are we going to live in the future? The sounds of debate rang out. Wang Xian sat inside and looked at the three people standing outside. When he saw the middle-aged man's last words, the middle-aged man sighed helplessly. If the black water poison is serious, it might cost at least 15 million upper-grade spirit stones. At this moment, old Hu, who was standing at the side, looked at the middle-aged man's rotten arm and said faintly. He had seen too many of such things in the medical center. There were many people who didn't have any spirit stones to treat them. Some even died because of it. However, the medical center wasn't a charitable place. Without spirit stones, which priest of light would be willing to expend energy to treat you? What? 5 million upper-grade spirit stones? No. When the three of them heard old Hu's words, their bodies couldn't help but tremble. They felt as though their bodies had collapsed. How much do you have in your hands now? Wang Xian sat there and asked them calmly. We only have 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones. If we were to sell some of the things in the house, we can only gather 800,000 at most. The woman lowered her head and said in despair, Give me half of the spirit stones in your hands. As Wang Xian spoke, he waved his arm gently. Puchi. Before the middle-aged man could react, both of his arms were cut off by Wang Xian. Following that, he felt a ray of light enveloping his body. Under his disbelief, both of his arms grew out slowly. Old Hu, who was at the side, was stunned. Even the female receptionist behind him was stunned. Leave half of the spiritual stones behind. Let's go. Wang Xian waved his arm, and the two arms that were completely corroded by the black water poison flew in front of him. He sized them up silently. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, priest. Thank you. The woman, and the middle-aged man were completely stunned. When they saw that the arms had completely grown out, they were excited. The three of them quickly knelt on the ground and thanked him loudly. Wang Xian smiled and didn't say anything. Old Hu's eyes flickered as he looked at the three of them. All right, Reverend Wang, you guys look pitiful. Give me 50,000 high-grade spirit stones. Let's go. Thank you, Reverend Wang. Here, we'll give all the spirit stones to you, Reverend Wang. Only 50,000. Leave immediately and don't disturb us. Old Hu said coldly. Yes. Thank you. The three of them said gratefully. With bloodshot eyes, they stood up and bowed. They left in tears of joy. He is so caring. Not only is he strong and handsome, he is also so caring. He is just like Prince Charming. The receptionist girl who brought the three of them looked at Wang Xian, who was sitting there, and her eyes lit up. Wang Xian did not look outside. Instead, he stared quietly at the arm that was corroded by the dark energy in front of him. Wang Xian was not bothered by the fact that he was treating them for free. He was not in need of spirit stones. He did not care about 100 million, or even 1 billion upper-grade spirit stones. After destroying the ancient demon city, the amount of resources, treasures, and spirit stones in his interspatial ring was a terrifying number. The most important thing for him now was the balance between light and darkness. Buzz! Wang Xian waved his arm, and the light energy landed on it, emitting a melting sound. That middle-aged man is a cultivator of the light attribute. He was eroded by the darkness and 99% of his entire arm has been crippled. However, there are still a few interesting aspects. Wang Xian observed and observed. He realized that under the condition of equal light and darkness, the darkness could not extinguish the light, and neither could the light extinguish the darkness. Under such a stalemate, it would form a rotation. It was just like Tai Chi. The 5 elements can be fused together due to the fact that they are mutually compatible. However, in essence, the 5 elements are also mutually exclusive. Light and darkness are not mutually exclusive and can only be mutually exclusive. It is not that they cannot be merged. It is just like Tai Chi. Wang Xian mumbled. He waved his arm and rays of light landed on his arms. He wanted to try to use the power of light to completely restore his 2 arms. Pastor Wang, there are more patients. In the afternoon, Wang Xian received 2 more patients and healed them very quickly. He spent the rest of his time studying the 2 arms. In the evening, the news of Wang Xian's selfless treatment of a middle-aged man spread in the clinic. The girls chatted excitedly. However, Wang Xian stayed on the 4th floor and didn't go out. Many people didn't see his real face. This made many girls look regretful. They wondered if they should go up and take a look. However, they didn't dare to. For 2 consecutive days, Wang Xian received a total of more than 10 patients. Some of them had the dark energy of powerful demonic beasts in their bodies. Some of them needed to regrow their severed limbs. In short, these were all questions that Wang Xian thought were very simple. Pastor Wang, this is the brocade banner that the middle-aged man that you treated sent over on the first day. They said that we cannot repay your kindness and can only send a small brocade banner. On this afternoon, Old Hu walked over with the banner in his hand and said with a smile on his face, Uncle Hu, help me put it there. Wang Xian looked at the banner and said with a smile, you actually completely recovered that rotten arm. At this moment, Old Hu looked in front of Wang Xian with a shocked expression. On the other side, the rotten arm that he had cut off from the middle-aged man looked just like an ordinary arm today. It was still emitting a faint vitality. This was simply unbelievable. Wang Xian looked at the arm in front of him and sensed the location of his heart. After a few days of understanding and tempering of light, the light in the heart of light and darkness had reached about 25%. It wouldn't take long for him to achieve a balance between light and darkness. Chapter 1525. 1525 calls spread across thousands of miles. Uncle Hu. In the room of the Holy Medicine Clinic, Wang Xian looked at the heart in front of him and asked, how can we receive more patients who have been corroded by the darkness? More patients? Old Hu looked at Wang Xian and said, it's very simple to receive more patients who have been corroded by the darkness. Free treatment? But if you treat them for free, wouldn't that be too? As he spoke, he looked at Wang Xian. Treating anyone for free. With his ability, almost all the patients within a few thousand miles would rush over. No one would treat all the patients for free so mercifully. Moreover, doing so would offend other medical centers. What if I want to treat those who don't have the money to do so for free? Wang Xian looked at the banner that the family of 3 had sent over and said with a smile, treat people who don't have the money to do so for free? That's possible. There are many people who have done such things in the past. I can look for the owner and ask him to release this news. However, there might be some people who will pretend that they don't have the money. Old Hu said to Wang Xian, I can determine if they have the ability to pay. Uncle Hu, please announce the news to the public. Wang Xian said with a twinkle in his eyes. All right. After a night of publicity, there will be many patients coming over for treatment tomorrow. You have to make some preparations. Old Hu nodded at Wang Xian. He nodded. Treating people who were invaded by darkness was also treating oneself. Using light to cure darkness could bring forward the balance of the heart of light and darkness. After Old Hu left, he informed the owner of the news of treating the poor for free. The owner was very surprised by Wang Xian's action. However, He hesitated for a moment before nodding his head. The free treatment was carried out in the Holy Medicine Clinic. It was a great boost to the reputation of the Holy Medicine Clinic. That night, the news that the Holy Medicine Clinic had a light priest at the Insightful Emptiness realm to treat all those who could not afford the treatment was spread out. This news immediately attracted the attention of countless people. Around the ruins of the Divine Kingdom, there were at least hundreds of millions of people who relied on the ruins of the Divine Kingdom to survive. Although most of them were strong, most of them were below the Insightful Emptiness realm. Many people had entered the ruins of the Divine Kingdom and the forest of the Divine Kingdom. They suffered from the erosion of the darkness and left some hidden injuries in their bodies. Not everyone had the money to cure themselves and find a radiant priest. The number of people who died from the erosion of the darkness every year was no less than 1 million. Now that the Holy Medicine Shop had a radiant priest at the Insightful Void level to treat them for free, it was a very big deal for many people. When it was just nighttime, there was already a queue of people coming to the entrance of the Holy Medicine Hall. This time, the free treatment is given by our Holy Medicine Hall's Reverend Wang. Reverend Wang treats people from 8 to 5 in the morning every day. It's useless for you to wait now. At night, the 2 female receptionists of the Holy Medicine Hall shouted at the people lining up at the entrance. It's all right, ladies. We'll wait here until tomorrow, Reverend Wang. That's right. There are already so many people here. There will be even more tomorrow. We don't know how many people Reverend Wang can treat in a day, or how many days he can last. We don't have any spirit stones to treat them, so it's fine even if we wait now. I wonder who this Reverend Wang is. Why haven't I heard of him before? He's really a good person. That's right, that's right. This leg of mine was bitten by a dark demon beast 2 years ago. At that time, I didn't have any spirit stones to heal it, so I missed the best time to heal it. As a result, if you want to heal it again, you'll have to find a master at the Insightful Emptiness realm to do it. But a master at the Insightful Emptiness realm? How could I have so much money? In front of the entrance of the Holy Medicine Clinic, a group of people were discussing in front. Pastor Wang is so kind-hearted. I heard from afar that he is very handsome. I wonder if I can meet him during the day when I am working. I will apply for a day job in a few days. I want to go and see Pastor Wang. The 2 beautiful female receptionists saw the discussion of the group of people in front of them and whispered to each other. Their eyes would look towards the 4th floor from time to time. There are quite a number of people. The next morning, when Wang Xian woke up and came to the balcony, he saw a few hundred people lined up below. He revealed a surprised expression, and a smile slowly appeared on his face. Pastor Wang, there are already many patients gathered below. Do you want them to come up? Not long after, Old Hu walked over on time and asked Wang Xian. 10 people at once. Let them come up. Wang Xian nodded and said directly. All right. Lao Hu nodded and walked out. Soon, a girl who looked very happy walked in with 10 people. Reverend Wang, the people are here. The girl said sweetly, and looked at Wang Xian with her watery eyes. Everyone come in. Wang Xian nodded his head, and swept his gaze across the 10 healers. He could tell that they were not in a good condition. Reverend Wang, thank you for treating us for free. The group of people were slightly surprised when they saw how young Wang Xian was. However, they quickly bowed. There's no need. Wang Xian looked at them, and started to examine their bodies with his dragon eyes. The 3 of you, take a step forward first. Wang Xian pointed at the 2 middle-aged elders and said. Yes, yes. The 3 of them took 2 steps forward nervously. Your injuries are not serious. As he spoke, he waved his arm, and a beam of light energy landed on their bodies. Buzz. The light covered their entire bodies. Wang Xian stared at them intently. I wasted some light energy. Wang Xian shook his head slightly when he saw this situation. Oh my God, the dark toxins in my body have been removed. It's... Reverend Wang, you have been removed with a wave of your arm. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The 3 of them immediately felt that the dark energy that had been tormenting them had been removed. They knelt down in excitement. They kowtowed to Wang Xian and thanked him. Be careful in the future. I will only treat you once for free. Wang Xian nodded his head faintly and looked at the other 6 people. The 2 of you. Wang Xian pointed at the 2 middle-aged men who had lost their arms. Yes, sir. The 2 of them walked over directly. Wang Xian also used the power of light to cover them and used the regeneration of the broken limbs. While the broken limbs were regenerating, he was carefully sensing the power of light. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The 2 of them knelt on the ground and shouted loudly in gratitude. This caused the other 5 people to be extremely excited, and their bodies were trembling. The 5 of you, let's go together. Wang Xian waved his arm, and the power of light enveloped them, slowly removing the power of darkness from their bodies. All right, 10 more people. Chapter 1526. 1526 1526, sounds traveled 5,000 miles. Why did they come down so quickly? Yeah, how long has it been? 5 minutes at most. There shouldn't be any problems, right? At this moment, there were already over 1,000 people lining up at the entrance of the Holy Medicine Clinic. When they saw the first batch of 10 people who entered just now come out, the people who were lining up had astonished expressions on their faces. It had only been 5 minutes. How could they come out so quickly? No, look at those 2 people. When they came out, they had lost their arms, but now they have grown back. It's true. Judging from their excitement, they should have all been cured. Oh my God, 10 people have been cured so quickly. Suddenly, a few middle-aged men looked at the 10 people who came out and asked excitedly. Haha, all right. We are completely healed. Reverend Wang is very powerful. Reverend Wang is a good person. The 10 people who came out saw the crowd outside staring at them with eager faces. They all said excitedly, next, another 10 people will come. At this moment, a female receptionist in front of them raised her head slightly and shouted with a smile on her face. Don't be anxious. Come one by one. Our Reverend Wang is very powerful. The female receptionist said proudly to everyone. Yes. Reverend Wang is very powerful. My arm has been broken for more than 10 years. Even our Reverend Wang can cure it. An old man said excitedly. After saying that, he turned around and bowed towards the Holy Medicine Clinic. Let's go, it's our turn. The 10 people behind followed the girl excitedly and walked towards the 4th floor. Reverend Wang, the patient is here. The girl who received him brought her people to the 4th floor and greeted Wang Xian sweetly. Okay, let them come in directly. Wang Xian smiled at the girl. Seeing Wang Xian smiling at her, the girl who was receiving him almost fainted. She nodded immediately. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the 10 patients and checked their conditions to prevent some from pretending to be poor. Following that, rays of light energy landed on them. At this moment, the head of the hall walked over silently. He looked at Wang Xian, who was treating the patients, and looked at the patients who were recovering rapidly. His eyes revealed a hint of amazement. The young man followed behind him. He looked on with a face full of shock. He watched as groups of people came over and were quickly healed. Amazing. It's like the new wave is pushing the new wave forward. Compared to him, I'm far from him. His use of light is simply unbelievable. The hall master stood there and watched for an hour. Then he shook his head with a face full of shock and walked upstairs. Master, is he really that powerful? I didn't see him use a Dharma idol that was too powerful. When the young man heard his master's words, a shocked expression appeared on his face. His master was a radiant priest at the 3rd level of the insightful void tier. The strength of a radiant priest lies not only in their level, but also in their control of light. Just now, every time that young Master Wang used the power of light, he was able to achieve a very precise control, which just happened to clear away the power of darkness. I can't do that. Even the head of the Divine Light Medical Center might not be able to do it. Perhaps only the old ancestor of the Divine Light Empire can do it. I wonder what kind of identity this young Master Wang has. As the head spoke, his eyes were filled with astonishment. This. The young man at the side widened his eyes. His master's evaluation of that young man was simply too high. On the fourth floor, Wang Xian quickly treated one patient after another. In the entire morning, he treated 300 to 400 people. At noon, he didn't stop and continued his treatment. Reverend Wang didn't even rest at noon. He's such a good person. He treated at least 400 to 500 people in the entire morning. This is simply too amazing. At noon, in front of the Holy Medicine Clinic, the people who came to queue for treatment were having a sentimental conversation. They had encountered this kind of free treatment by the priest of light once or twice, but the number of people who received free treatment was at most 1,000 to 2,000 people. More than 100 people were cured in one day. Unlike this priest Wang, who only cured 400 to 500 people in one morning. He didn't even rest at noon. In front of the entrance of the Holy Medicine Clinic, the number of people who came to line up after hearing the news didn't decrease. Instead, it increased by several times. There were 7,000 to 8,000 people gathered in the surrounding area. If it wasn't to prevent overcrowding, there would probably be more than 10,000 people. What's the situation up ahead? At this moment, a row of luxurious carriages drove on the road. Inside the carriage, a woman saw the crowd gathered outside through the screen window and asked curiously, "Let me take a look." There were 4 or 5 women sitting inside the carriage. They opened the curtains and looked outside. It seems that the Holy Medicine Clinic is treating some people who can't afford it for free. There are so many people lining up. There are at least 7,000 or 8,000 people. A woman looked outside and said with a smile, "Are you imitating the daughter of light, Sister Wu Qingyan?" A woman smiled and said to the woman in white in the middle, "What do you mean by imitating me? Qingyan, are you asking for a beating?" Wu Qingyan glared at the woman and said, "The others are far inferior to our sister Qingyan. Our sister Qingyan is a famous daughter of light." A few girls beside them said with a smile, "That's right. It's probably just a gimmick to promote their clinic." The girls chatted as the carriage drove past. The treatment continued. In the afternoon, Wang Xian did not stop. A day passed very quickly. In the whole day, Wang Xian had cured more than 1,000 people. The last 10, the rest will be treated tomorrow. Wang Xian spoke to the girl who was receiving him. Soon 10 people were brought over. However, this time, when Wang Xian swept his gaze across the 10 of them, he raised his eyebrows slightly. This caused the 10 people who just walked in to look at Wang Xian in awe. They had queued up for an entire day. They also had an understanding of Reverend Wang's healing process. Priest Wang would not ask if there were any problems. Instead, he could easily solve them for them. This made the patients who came over exclaim in admiration. They praised Priest Wang for being very powerful. When they saw Wang Xian sizing them up, they were a little nervous. If you have the ability to seek treatment from other priests of light, scram immediately. Wang Xian pointed at a middle-aged man and said coldly. The middle-aged man who was pointed at by Wang Xian was slightly stunned. His eyes revealed a look of panic. "Sir, I really don't have the money to treat your illness. Sir, throw him out," Wang Xian said directly to Lao Hu, who was at the side. Chapter 1527. 1527 1527 voices traveled across thousands of miles. "Sir, I really don't have the money. I don't have the money to treat the injuries on my body." A frightened voice came from the middle-aged man's mouth as he shouted at Wang Xian loudly. "With the strength of a half-step void interpretation, can you not have a few 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones to treat the injuries on your body?" Lao Hu sensed the strength of the middle-aged man, and a hint of coldness appeared on his face. "No, I have all my spirit stones." "Shut up." Wang Xian looked at the middle-aged man, and a hint of darkness flashed in his eyes. Someone was taking advantage of his good intentions. He was simply courting death. He waved his arm, and a beam of bright energy instantly slashed towards the middle-aged man's arms. "What?" The middle-aged man was shocked, and his eyes revealed a look of horror. He wanted to dodge in a hurry. Ah! Bang bang! However, a scream came from his mouth, followed by the sound of his arm falling to the ground. The clothes on his upper body were melted by the power of light. There was a piece of golden heart armor on his chest. The other 9 people's faces turned extremely pale when they saw this scene. This priest Wang had actually cut off both of his arms. Old who was standing at the side, was slightly stunned when he saw Wang Xian directly cut off the middle-aged man's arms. However, when he saw the heart armor on his chest, his expression turned cold. To be able to wear a heart armor of the first level of the void interpretation stage, doesn't he have hundreds of thousands of high-grade spirit stones to treat his illness? Old who walked forward grabbed his body and walked out. He actually dared to deceive Reverend Wang. He's really courting death. He wants to take advantage of Reverend Wang's kindness and give him free treatment. This kind of person really deserves to die. The 9 people looked at the middle-aged man who had been taken away, and their faces revealed a cold expression. Pung! At the entrance of the sacred medicine clinic, Old who directly threw the middle-aged man's body onto the ground at the entrance, attracting the astonished gazes of everyone around him. Reverend Wang only treats poor people who don't have the financial ability. If someone pretends to be him, he will cut off both of his arms. Old who warned loudly to the thousands of people who were still queuing in front of him. What? Someone actually appeared. Damn it, this damn fellow. Look at the heart armor on his chest. He's at least at the first level of the profound void tier. Damn it, he has the heart armor at the first level of the profound void tier. But he doesn't have the ability to treat patients? Instantly, everyone looked at the middle-aged man lying on the ground. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. They did not have money. Some of them had been injured for a long time, and had been enduring it. However, there was actually someone who had the ability to treat patients, but still wanted to take advantage of them. This caused everyone around to stare at him indignantly. If it were not for the fact that they could not make a move here, the middle-aged man on the ground would definitely have been killed. When the middle-aged man felt the murderous gazes around him, he immediately lowered his head and fled into the distance with a face full of fear. Tui, good job crippling him. Such a person should be killed. That's right. He really took Priest Wang's kindness for his own convenience. The people around him said with contempt. Your body's condition is a little special. Stand aside first. I'll treat them. On the 4th floor, Wang Xian pointed at a young man and said, Yes, Reverend Wang. Please save me and help me remove the dark soul in my body. I don't want to die yet. The young man immediately knelt on the ground with a pleading look on his face. When the other 8 people heard the young man's words, their pupils constricted slightly. They retreated to the side with a horrified look on their faces. I will show you a private view later. Wait by the side. Wang Xian nodded his head lightly at him. He looked at the other people, and rays of light immediately covered them. Thank you, Reverend Wang. Thank you. The 8 people thanked him respectfully and walked out. Wang Xian looked at the young man who was kneeling on the ground, and sized him up with his pair of dragon eyes. Sir, I was entered by a soul of darkness. I spent all my savings, but was unable to get rid of it. Please save me, sir. Please save me. The young man was kneeling on the ground and kowtowing nonstop. Pastor Wang, once a soul of darkness enters a person's body, it will affect a person's rationality. Once it enters a person's body, it will be very difficult unless one is able to suppress it with great strength. Old who reminded him in a low voice. Sir, I am using the light array to suppress it now. This is the suppression array that I bought with my last savings. Once the energy is used up, The young man immediately lifted his clothes and spoke while trembling. I am very interested in this soul of darkness. Don't worry, I will do my best to treat you. As Wang Xian spoke, he walked towards the young man and sized up the soul of darkness in his body. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The young man thanked him respectfully. The entry of the soul of darkness into his body almost caused a heaven's favorite like him to collapse. His strength, which was at level 1 of the see-through realm, was reduced to level 8 of the extraordinary realm due to the soul of darkness. Is this the soul of darkness? Wang Xian had heard of the name of the darkness soul since he came to the ruins of the divine kingdom. Now that he had seen it with his own eyes, it was truly miraculous. As expected of the darkness soul that made countless powerhouses tremble in fear, Wang Xian stared at the young man's body. There was a ball of dark energy in his body. This dark energy was like a living creature. It exuded a brutal and sinister aura. In fact, the soul of darkness had a life form. It was a life form formed from dark energy. Wang Xian placed his arm on the young man's body. A wave of light energy attacked the dark energy. However, at this moment, the young man let out a painful scream. A layer of cold sweat appeared on his body instantly. Wang Xian could sense that this soul of darkness was able to fight against the light energy. Even if it couldn't withstand it, he could still escape to other locations. Especially to the head. The head was the most important vital part of a human. Once the power of light entered his head, the soul of darkness would be able to kill the young man if it resisted. Wang Xian let go of his hand and stared at this soul of darkness with a twinkle in his eyes. He frowned slightly. This was the most troublesome existence that Wang Xian had encountered during his treatment of over 1,000 patients this year. It's a little tricky. I'm not sure yet. Come to my place after 5 o'clock every day. I'll think of a way to treat you. After studying for 2 hours, Wang Xian said to the young man. Yes, sir, yes, sir. The young man was slightly disappointed, but he quickly pulled himself together. At the very least, Wang Xian had not given up on him, and he would not give up on himself. For the next 7 to 8 days, Wang Xian treated everyone for free from 8 to 5 o'clock every day. The number of people treated every day was no less than 1,000. In just a short week, the name of Priest Wang of the Holy Medicine Shop had spread across thousands of miles in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. Every day, more than 1,000 people would rush to the entrance of the Holy Medicine Shop. Those who had been cured would look at the people around them gratefully and say how good Priest Wang was and how amazing he was. So that the Holy Medicine Shop business is much better. And many people call Pastor Wang hanging pot to help the world benevolence. Chapter 1528. 1528 Son of Light 1528? Go. The Art of Saving the World, Benevolence and Benevolence. On the afternoon of the 8th day, Wang Xian looked at the plaque hanging in the room and smiled. Pastor Wang, this is a gift from the people who have been healed by you. Old Hu pointed at the items under the plaque and said to him. Okay. Wang Xian nodded his head and walked over to pick up a box on the table. When he opened the box, he saw a bright pearl inside and was astonished. A bright pearl of the 3rd level of the void interpretation stage was not cheap. Those people were really thoughtful. Don't let them send gifts in the future. I'll accept these items. Wang Xian said to Old Hu. All right. Old Hu nodded. Sir, I'm here. At this moment, a young man walked in respectfully and shouted. Come over, I'll show you again. Wang Xian said to the young man. The young man walked up to him and sized up the darkness soul in the young man's body. For 8 days, Wang Xian hadn't thought of a way to get rid of this darkness soul. Once a powerful light force entered his body, it would cause the darkness soul to resist. If things went wrong, the young man's life would be lost. Under the corrosion of the darkness soul, if he could suppress it, no one else could save him. Even the old ancestor of the Divine Light Empire could only deal with the extremely weak darkness soul. He couldn't even deal with the young man's darkness soul. One could imagine how terrifying the darkness soul was. The young man stood there respectfully. He wasn't the least bit dissatisfied with Priest Wang's unmoving gaze. On the contrary, he was extremely grateful. It was already an honor for a powerful priest of light to be willing to waste his time on him. He also knew how terrifying the darkness soul was. Suddenly, Wang Xian looked at the luminous pearl in his hand. His eyes flickered and emitted a faint luster. He narrowed his eyes slightly. Suddenly, he had a faint idea. The soul of darkness was similar to the dragon pearl. The nurtured dragon pearl could transform into a divine dragon to fight. The dragon pearl didn't need to be controlled to be able to fight. In essence, it was similar to the soul of darkness. Using the dragon pearl to destroy the soul of darkness. This method shouldn't be a problem. Wang Xian stood up slowly. A faint smile appeared on his face. Go back first. Look for me in 10 days. By then, I have 80% confidence. It's Reverend Wang. The young man raised his head. His eyes were filled with hope and excitement. He nodded immediately. Reverend Wang, you really have the confidence to solve it? Old Hu asked with a shocked expression. There is no darkness that can't be solved. I should be able to solve it in 10 days. Wang Xian revealed a confident expression. This made Old Hu's expression change. Wang Xian opened his interspatial ring and searched around. He found a luminous pearl. It was a luminous pearl of the 8th level of the void interpretation stage. Its level was much higher than the ones given by the patients. Wang Xian looked at the pearl of light and placed it into his mouth slowly. He walked to the balcony and began to nurture it with all his might. After 10 days, the pearl of light would be able to transform into the pearl of light and give birth to a sliver of intelligence. Time passed slowly. During the day, Wang Xian was still treating all kinds of patients every day and nurturing the pearl of light at night. As the number of people he treated increased, his reputation also became more and more famous. He treated patients for free for more than 10 days in a row. He treated more than 10,000 people in total. This selfless act touched many people. At first, everyone thought that this was just the Holy Medicine Clinic's publicity for the sake of reputation. But what they didn't expect was that it actually lasted for more than 10 days. This was definitely not for the sake of reputation, but because that Reverend Wang really treated patients selflessly. Another 10 days slowly passed, but the number of patients in front of the Holy Medicine Clinic did not decrease. Many people who had heard of this from other places rushed over from thousands of miles away. There were still 7,000 to 8,000 people gathered at the entrance to treat patients. In the surroundings, passers-by looked over curiously and discussed animatedly. Oh, when we came, this Holy Medicine Clinic was treating patients for free. Now it's actually still free. Moreover, there are so many people lining up. A luxurious carriage slowly drove on the road. A woman in the carriage looked outside in surprise. It's true, and there are so many people outside. Another woman in the carriage also looked over in surprise. Your Highness, when you came here, it should be the first day. A young man was treated in the Sacred Medicine Clinic for free, and more than 1,000 patients are treated every day. This priest Wang is very powerful. He is now known as the Hanging Urn Salvation, Benevolence and Benevolence. His evaluation is very high. He is quite famous among the priests of light. A woman said to the woman beside her. Hanging Urn Salvation, Benevolence and Benevolence? What a high evaluation. The woman in the middle showed a surprised expression. I would like to meet this priest Wang. Aunt Feng, send him an invitation, and say that I invited him to visit the Radiant Villa. Sister Qingyan, could it be that you have taken a fancy to that priest Wang? What nonsense are you talking about? Shut up immediately. I'm just curious who has such a broad mind. Hee, if this is an old man, would sister still invite him over for a visit? It's all because he's a young man. He might be a handsome guy. The two women were playing around inside. In the Holy Medicine Clinic, Wang Xian stood in the room and stared at the young man with his eyes closed. In front of Wang Xian, the luminous dragon pearl was emitting an extremely strong light energy. The entire room seemed to be in the midst of a dazzling white light. Old Hu was guarding outside. Wang Xian stared at the luminous dragon pearl, and his mind moved slightly. Buzz. In an instant, the white light that enveloped the surroundings dissipated instantly and was absorbed into the dragon pearl. Wang Xian held the dragon pearl and exerted force with his arm. The entire dragon pearl turned into a stream of energy. The energy slowly condensed into the form of the divine light dragon and swayed its body. He moved his palm gently, and sliced open the young man's stomach. The divine light dragon entered his body directly. The divine light dragon belonged to a stream of energy that carried a trace of spiritual intelligence. It was the same for the soul of darkness. There was no difference between the two. Since it possesses spiritual intelligence, it will know fear and know how to avoid danger. Wang Xian mumbled as he stared at the divine dragon of light. The divine dragon of light swayed its body and charged directly at the soul of darkness. Roar! At the same time, a wave of dragon's might was emitted and suppressed the soul of darkness. Darkness! At this moment Wang Xian, who was standing outside, extended his hand slowly. At this moment, his palm had turned pitch black. There were faint scales of the demonic dragon on it. In an instant, a black shadow escaped toward his palm. Wang Xian clenched his fist tightly and grabbed the soul of darkness into his hand. Success! Chapter 1529. 1529 Son of Light? The dove occupied the magpie's nest. The divine light dragon charged towards the soul of darkness and attracted it with pure darkness energy. The soul of darkness, which didn't have high intelligence, naturally wanted to charge towards the location of the darkness energy. However, Wang Xian easily caught it in his hand. Wang Xian stared at the soul of darkness. His eyes were sparkling. He didn't purify it but kept it. With a move of his arm, the divine dragon of light returned to his hand and turned into a dragon ball. It's done! Wang Xian waved his arm, and a stream of energy healed the wound. He spoke to the young man calmly. The young man opened his eyes and touched the spot on his abdomen. Following that, his body shook and a stream of light energy enveloped his entire body. It's done! Haha, I'm finally done. I and Haoyan have finally recovered. I've finally recovered. Thank you, Reverend Wang. Thank you. I will repay you for your kindness in the future, even if I have to work as a slave. An excited voice came out from the young man's mouth. He knelt in front of Wang Xian and kowtowed nonstop. A heaven's favorite was tortured to this day because of the soul of darkness. He was the only one who understood the hardships and mockery involved. Go back. You don't have to come back anymore. Wang Xian waved his hand and spoke to him indifferently. Then he walked straight to the balcony. After grabbing the soul of darkness, he had a new understanding. When the young man saw Wang Xian walking to the balcony, he clenched his fists in gratitude. Reverend Wang, you are the one who gave me this life. Thank you. He kowtowed heavily once again and walked out with a determined gaze. He was reborn. Wang Xian did not answer him. Instead, he stared at the soul of darkness in front of him. His eyes were sparkling. This soul of darkness is exactly the same as the intelligence that was born in the dragon pearl. Wang Xian thought to himself as he sensed the location of his heart. At this moment, the light portion of the heart of light and darkness had reached more than 40%. At most, it would take 5 days for the light and darkness to maintain balance. The problem of the balance between light and darkness has basically been solved. The next step is the fusion of light and darkness. The fusion of light and darkness is much more troublesome than the balance between light and darkness. I can refer to Tai Chi, or the 5 elements grinding. Wang Xian was deep in thought. With a move of his palm, a ball of Tai Chi appeared in front of him. Buzz! 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 However, very soon, the powers of darkness and light collided and produced a melting sound. Following that, Wang Xian continued to use the same amount of light and darkness to form a Tai Chi pattern, causing the forces of light and darkness to rotate. At this moment, Wang Xian realized that the speed of the melting of light and darkness had slowed down. With a thought, he accelerated the speed of the rotation of Tai Chi. He realized that when the speed was maintained to a certain extent, the forces of darkness and light would no longer melt. It felt like they were chasing each other, but neither of them could catch up to the other. There's still another problem. I can't control the heart of light and darkness to rotate all the time. Wang Xian frowned slowly. He had been doing this for 5 hours. Haha, I finally understand. The 5 elements grinding has merged with the 5 elemental dragon pearl. There are 5 divine dragons pulling it. On the Taiji diagram, there are 2 black and white spots in opposite positions. You can also use the divine dragons to pull it. A strong luster shot out from Wang Xian's eyes. His eyes revealed an excited expression. It had only been a month. It had only been a month. He had finally figured it out. It was just a matter of time before he could completely control the heart of light and darkness. Wang Xian clenched his fists tightly. His entire body was extremely relaxed. During this period of time, he had been tortured by the heart of light and darkness. For the heart of light and darkness, he even became a priest of light. Now he could finally heave a sigh of relief. However, Wang Xian didn't stop treating him for free the next day. Currently, the balance between light and darkness had yet to be achieved. Priest Wang, someone has sent an invitation to invite you over as a guest. In the evening of the second day, a female receptionist ran over and handed him an invitation. Wang Xian looked over and took the invitation letter. On it were the words Guangming Villa. Guangming Villa. When Old Hu saw these words, he was slightly shocked and shouted in shock. Uncle Hu, do you know this Guangming Villa? Wang Xian looked at him and asked curiously. Yes, Guangming Villa. It is the residence of Princess Wu Qingyan from Wuji Empire. Old Hu said with a solemn face. Wuji Empire. Wang Xian was slightly stunned. His eyes were sparkling. Uncle Hu, tell me about this Princess Wu Qingyan. He did not know this Princess Wu Qingyan at all. Even when he came to the ruins of the Divine Kingdom, he did not leave the Holy Medicine Clinic. He did not know why Wu Qingyan invited him. Princess Wu Qingyan is also known as the Daughter of Light. Since young, this princess does not like to kill. She is under the tutelage of the Radiant Priest of the Divine Light Empire. Now that she has the cultivation of the second level of the Void Interpretation stage, the Radiant Villa was specially built by the Emperor of the Wuji Empire for Princess Wu Qingyan. Princess Wu Qingyan must have heard of your reputation and invited you over. Old Hu introduced Wang Xian. Oh, I see. Wang Xian nodded and walked towards the balcony. Pastor Wang you're not going? This is an invitation from the Princess of Wuji Empire. Old Hu looked at Wang Xian, who was sitting there motionlessly with a stunned expression on his face. I don't have the time. Wang Xian shook his head. He wasn't interested in this invitation at all. Old Hu was stunned for a moment before he shook his head bitterly. He couldn't understand this mysterious and powerful young man. Sister Qingyan, did you really invite that priest Wang who saved the world from the hanging jar? I heard that this priest Wang is very young, very handsome, and very powerful. Haha, this time I want to see if it is as the rumors say. At this moment, in the Radiant Mountain Villa, a group of young men and women were sitting in front of a courtyard building. A girl said loudly with a face full of surprise. Why are you so clear-faced? Why are you so excited? Why don't I introduce you to Priest Wang later? Wu Qingyan looked at her sister and teased. Che, I don't like priests of light. I like the kind of strong people who exude a gloomy temperament and evil aura. Sister, you only like this kind of people. Wu Qingyan retorted. Hee Princess Qingyan, we would like to see if this priest Wang is as the rumors say. At the side, a young man holding a staff had a hint of jealousy in his eyes. He said indifferently, I would like to see his light skill. That priest Wang should have some ability. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to treat so many people every day. However, compared to the Daughter of Light, Princess Qingyan, and the Son of Light, the Prince of Light, there is still a gap. That's true. Those who went to see the doctor were all weak people. Naturally, the treatment wouldn't be that difficult. A few men and women on the side said, I'm also very curious about his strength. We'll know when he comes. Princess Wu Qingyan said with a smile. Chapter 1530. 1530 Children of Light? Below, inside the Radiant Mountain Villa, Princess Wu Qingyan was conversing with a group of young men and women. This group of people were all young elites of the Divine Light Empire, who cultivated the light attribute. They were the most outstanding prodigies of the entire Divine Light Empire. Among them were the princes of the Divine Light Empire, the children of light who were also priests of light, the prodigies of the second level of the Insight Void tier. It's already 7 o'clock. Why isn't that priest Wang here yet? Sister, when did you invite that priest Wang over? After about an hour, Wu Qingyan asked Wu Qingyan with a slight frown. He only mentioned the night, and didn't say the exact time. He might rush over later. Wu Qingyan frowned slightly, and then said with a smile. Our Princess Qingyan invited him, but he came so late. He doesn't give us face. The young man called Son of Light said with a cold smile in his eyes. His words made Wu Qingyan's eyes twinkle. She was slightly dissatisfied with this priest Wang. Maybe that priest Wang is nervously making preparations. A girl teased. It's possible. Wu Qingyan nodded in agreement. Everyone in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom knew who lived in the Radiant Mountain Villa. The princess of the Wuji Empire, one of the 3 strongest forces in the vast region, the princess of the empire. No one would not give her face. Not to mention a young priest. Wu Qingyan took a sip of tea and waited in a relaxed manner. However, time slowly passed. By 8 o'clock, the sky had completely turned dark, but there was still no sign of anyone. That priest Wang won't not come, right? A girl frowned as she watched the sky turn completely dark. The surrounding people also looked at each other. That priest Wang had actually rejected Princess Wu Qingyan's invitation. Even the Son of Light had not expected that priest Wang would be so disrespectful. Could it be that something has delayed him? Wu Qingyan looked at her sister and said softly, I don't know. Let's call it a day. Wu Qingyan's expression was a little ugly as she stood up and said, Qingyan, that fellow is so disrespectful. Do you want me to teach him a lesson? The Son of Light raised his eyebrows and said directly, No need. Others might be delayed. Wu Qingyan shook her head and waved at them. That priest Wang actually stood Princess Qingyan up. This guy is too bold. Yeah, Princess Qingyan is a little angry. Seeing Princess Qingyan leave, the surrounding youths whispered. The Son of Light who was standing in the middle had a glint in his eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled up. Aunt Feng, help me check what that priest Wang is doing right now. Walking into the house from a courtyard, Wu Qingyan said directly to a woman beside her. It's Her Highness the Princess. The old woman nodded and immediately left. That priest Wang really has a personality. Sister, you didn't even come with your invitation. Wu Qingyan said with a smile. What personality? HMPH, it's best if I know that he didn't come, because he had something to do. If I know that he deliberately didn't come, I'll teach him a lesson. Wu Qingyan clenched her fists and said angrily. That's right. Beat up that pretty boy. The Priest of Light's boys are all cowards. Just beat him up. Wu Qingyan said with a smile. Princess Qingyan, that priest Wang is drinking tea on the balcony. Not long after, the old woman walked in and reported to Wu Qingyan. What? Drinking tea? This guy. Wu Qingyan widened her eyes and looked angry. She was the princess of Wuji dynasty. She invited him over as a guest, but he didn't even come over to drink tea at home. This made her look angry. This guy, we can't tolerate it. Wu Qingyan, who was beside her, also widened her eyes and clenched her fists. Let's go, sister. Let's go and beat that guy up. Let him be so arrogant. Let's go. Wu Qingyan's expression changed. She gritted her teeth and nodded heavily. They were originally the princesses of Wuji Empire. In the entire vast region, no one dared to provoke her, and no one dared to disobey them. This caused them to have small tempers. In the past, when they invited someone, they would all come over respectfully. Now that guy was actually sitting at home drinking tea. I can't stand it. Qingyan, come, let's go. Wu Qingyan immediately stood up. Beside her, Qingyan's face was also filled with excitement, and she looked eager to give it a try. The two immediately walked towards the holy medicine shop's location. The night sky in the Kingdom of God ruins was very dark. However, on both sides of the street, there were bright lights. Wu Qingyan and Wu Qingyan rode on a horse carriage and came to the front of the Holy Medicine Clinic. They immediately walked inside. "The three of you, are you going to?" the two female receptionists said. The woman at the side waved her arm. They felt slightly dazed and looked in front of them in a daze. What's going on? I'm actually feeling a little sleepy." The two female receptionists knocked on their heads and braced themselves. "That guy is on the 4th floor. Let's go." The two of them walked towards the 4th floor aggressively. Wang Xian was the only person on the entire 4th floor. The two of them looked at the closed door and pushed it open. Crash. Wang Xian, who was sitting on the balcony, frowned slightly when he heard the door being opened suddenly. He immediately looked outside. When he saw the two ladies staring behind him, he raised his eyebrows slightly. "We don't receive patients at night." Wang Xian looked at them and said calmly, "Don't receive patients." They said that they were patients. When the two of them heard Wang Xian's words, they immediately revealed a sullen expression. Looking at Wang Xian, who was drinking tea with an indifferent expression, Wu Qingyan became angrier the more she looked at him. "I am the daughter of Light Wu Qingyan. I am here to ask about Priest Wang's strength. Take this." As Wu Qingyan spoke, she waved her arm and shouted coldly, "Exorcism." "The daughter of Light, Wu Qingyan." Wang Xian looked at Wu Qingyan, who was charging towards him and attacking him directly. A hint of coldness flashed across his eyes. He stared at the supernatural ability that was attacking him and focused his gaze. The supernatural ability exorcism collapsed immediately when it was about to reach him. The power of light that had yet to dissipate condensed into the supernatural ability exorcism and attacked Wu Qingyan directly. "What? How is this possible?" Wu Qingyan looked shocked when she saw Wang Xian's attack. She waved her arm. "Hand of Divine Light." The Dharma idol that she had comprehended from the first level of the see-through realm met the attack directly. She dispelled the evil and continued to attack Wang Xian. Wang Xian looked at the hand of Divine Light and slowly lifted his teacup. Buzz! Just as the hand of Divine Light was about to reach Wang Xian, it collapsed once again. Following that, under Wu Qingyan's incredulous gaze, another hand of Divine Light condensed and attacked her. The old lady who had been standing at the back narrowed her eyes slightly, and a look of vigilance appeared on her face. Chapter 1531. 1531 became obedient after a beating. Wu Qingyan widened her eyes and looked at the hand of Divine Light that continued to attack her. A look of shock appeared on her face, and she could not help but retreat backward. What a weird guy. Wu Qingyan, who was standing at the side, was stunned when she saw her sister fighting with Wang Xian. She waved her arm, and a dark aura filled the air instantly. Ghost Claw. She waved her slender hand in front of her. A brutal and terrifying Ghost Claw condensed and attacked the hand of Divine Light. It was the first-level Void Interpretation Dharma idol, Ghost Claw. In the Wuji Empire, the dark energy was the main force. Bang! A terrifying collision came from the hand of Divine Light and the Ghost Claw. Wang Xian's gaze focused slightly and wrapped up the force of the collision. A light chain condensed in the air and flew towards Wu Qingyan and Wu Qingyan. Stop! At this moment, the old lady who was standing behind waved her arm. A wave of dark force shook and shattered the light chain. Hee. Wang Xian smiled when he saw the old lady making a move. He looked at Wu Qingyan. He said in a teasing tone, "The Lady of Light? You are so weak and you dare to call yourself the Lady of Light. How interesting. Do you have a son of light? Does that mean I can call myself the Lord of Light?" Wu Qingyan looked humiliated when she heard Wang Xian's words. She stared at him furiously. "Kid, mind your words." The old lady beside Wang Xian stared at him coldly when she heard his insulting words. "The darkness attribute that I cultivate is just right. Let me test my power of light." Wang Xian looked at the old lady and smiled. He stood up slowly. His body emitted a faint light. The entire house was filled with light. Swoosh! At this moment, a ray of light attacked the woman directly. "Little fellow, you are playing with fire and setting yourself on fire." The woman's body shook, and her surroundings were filled with darkness. A hint of killing intent flashed in her eyes. Wang Xian stared at the dark light surrounding the old man. His eyes were indifferent. A sword of light appeared and attacked her arm directly. "You are courting death. I will cripple you today." When the woman saw the sword of light that Wang Xian was attacking, a look of disdain appeared in her eyes. She waved her arm, and a thick wave of dark energy swept towards the sword of light. At this moment, Wang Xian had a thought. The sword of light became even more resplendent and accelerated. Bzz. The sound of melting was heard, and the entire sword of light disappeared quickly. "Humph!" The woman snorted contemptuously, but soon her smile froze. The rapidly fading sword of light, with only a fraction of it left, struck the woman. Hiss! The woman was in pain, and her face showed a trace of shock. She looked at the spot where her arm was bleeding, and her face was very ugly. "I underestimated you." Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As soon as the woman finished her sentence, rays of swords of light gathered around her again. There were a total of about 20 swords of light. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly and controlled the 20 swords to attack the woman in an instant. "Kid, don't push your luck. Die for me." Aspect: body wrapped in demonic clothes. The woman let out a sharp voice. Her entire body trembled as a body wrapped in demonic clothes attacked Wang Xian directly. It completely ignored the surrounding swords of light. Wang Xian looked at the body of the Dharma idol devil suit, and sensed the darkness that was protecting the woman's body. The surrounding swords of light moved. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Easily, 20 swords penetrated the devil's suit and the devil aura surrounding the old woman. During this process, the power of light was quickly dissolved. Only a little sword hilt was left and landed on the woman's body. Following that, the power of light directly entered the woman's body. It was as if it entered the bone corrosion poison. Ah! The woman's entire body was in pain, and a terrified expression appeared on her face. It was too strange. This youth's attack was simply too strange. She even suspected that the other party was using the power of darkness, and she was a radiant priest. When the power of light entered her body, it actually felt like it entered the bone corrosion poison. Furthermore, his opponent's attack was actually able to break through his defense. Looking at Wang Xian, who was standing there with a smile on his face, his eyes were filled with fear. He had encountered a strong opponent. She was at least a powerhouse at level 7 of the see-through realm. She was a powerhouse at level 6 of the see-through realm. Yet, she was actually unable to put up any resistance in front of this young man. How is this possible? Wu Qingyan and her sister were shocked when they saw Aunt Feng's terrified expression. Aunt Feng was a powerhouse at level 6 of the see-through realm. How could she not be a match for this young priest? A hint of fear appeared in their hearts as they gulped. Light restrains darkness while darkness restrains light. This restraint is really great. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. If this woman was not of the darkness attribute, he would not have been able to defeat her so easily. In fact, he did not even use much strength. He only used the method that he used to cure his illness and remove the powers of darkness. When darkness entered a person's body, it could form a bone corrosion poison. When light entered the body of a creature of the darkness attribute, it could also create this effect. Furthermore, after this period of time, he was able to treat thousands of patients every day. He could use the power of light to dissolve the power of darkness. Only then could he control the power of light accurately and break through the woman's defense. Not bad, not bad. Wang Xian was very satisfied. His understanding of light had reached an extremely high level. Looking at the three of them, who were filled with shock and even some fear, Wang Xian waved his arm. A beam of light fell into the old lady's body and healed her injuries. I'm sorry, the three of you. I just remembered that this lady of light should be Princess Wu Qingyan. I'm really sorry. It was a misunderstanding. Wang Xian waved his arm, and the surrounding light dissipated. He spoke to Wu Qingyan calmly. You, Wu Qingyan heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Wang Xian healing Aunt Feng's injuries. However, when she heard his words, she was infuriated again. I'm the Lady of Light? You are the Lord of Light. However, when she thought of Wang Xian's methods just now, her heart palpitated. Your Highness, this person is very terrifying. At this moment, the woman's voice sounded beside her ear. Master of Light? You can't be an old man, right? Also you, how are you so powerful? Wu Qingyan stared at Wang Xian, as her expression changed drastically. Wang Xian was stunned when he heard her words. He shook his head speechlessly. I might not be as old as you. May I know why your Highness is looking for me? As he spoke, he looked at Wu Qingyan, who was at the side. He realized that she was secretly holding an array compass and was trying to cover him. Wu Qingyan's head shrunk, and she hurriedly put away the formation compass. It's okay, let's go. As Wu Qingyan spoke, she hurriedly walked out in a panic. The woman hurriedly followed behind. Chapter 1532. 1532 Who the hell is the Son of Light? Go. Damn it. Damn it. This guy hit us 2 princesses. This is unforgivable. Unforgivable. We can't let him off. Isn't a radiant priest a trash? How come that young man is so terrifying? Wu Qingyan. And Wu Qingyan walked out of the 4th floor. Wu Qingyan patted her chest with a frightened look on her face. That young man is indeed a radiant priest. However, he is an extremely powerful radiant priest, especially for us darkness attribute cultivators. The woman followed behind, her eyes flashing as she glanced up the stairs. The short battle just now had also caused her to be somewhat frightened. The other party's attack was too strange and terrifying. She was certain that if the opponent wanted to kill her, it would be very easy. Aunt Feng, is he really that abnormal? Wu Qingyan turned her head and asked. I feel that he should be a light priest at Insightful Void Tier 7. The woman said with a serious expression. A light priest at Insightful Void Tier 7. Oh my god. In the entire God Country ruins, there are only 5 light priests at Insightful Void Tier 7. This is too amazing. Wu Qingyan exclaimed. He looks so young. I didn't expect him to be an old man. No wonder he called himself Master of Light. Wu Qingyan said with a dark expression. She had originally planned to teach that priest Wang a lesson today, but unexpectedly, she was taught a lesson by him instead. He was asking someone to beat him back? That was obviously too embarrassing. Moreover, if the other party was a powerhouse at the 7th level of the Insight Void tier, it was already a great honor for them to be able to come out safely. Old man? Oh right, sister. Let me see how old this old fellow is this year. Wu Qingyan said with a face full of curiosity. What do you think? Wu Qingyan looked at her and asked in astonishment. It's a dark growth ring formation. I can see anyone's growth rings. When you guys were talking earlier, I secretly took it out to take a look. Old fellow, you even pretended to be a handsome guy. You're really impressive. Wu Qingyan took out the array compass as she spoke. When she took a look earlier, she wanted to take a look. However, she was frightened by Wang Xian's glare and immediately kept it. Before she could finish her sentence, her eyes widened and stared at the compass in disbelief. No, impossible. It must be broken. It must be broken. How is it possible that you are not even 30 years old? Wu Qingyan widened her eyes, holding the compass in disbelief, testing her sister and the woman, as if she had seen a ghost. Wu Qingyan and the woman were also shocked. From that young man's voice and every movement, he doesn't look old, and this dark growth ring can't be wrong. The woman's eyes flickered as she spoke, her eyes filled with shock. A 7th rank profound void stage expert who wasn't even 30 years old? Was this heaven-defying? How is this possible? Could he have some treasure that can conceal his age? Wu Qingyan said with some disbelief. If he really isn't even 30 years old, then that's too terrifying. Yes, it was too terrifying. It was simply unbelievable. The 3 of them headed towards the Radiant Villa in a daze. If nothing goes wrong, the light and darkness in my body will be able to maintain balance tomorrow. In the Holy Medicine Clinic, Wang Xian looked at the heart of light and darkness in his body, and thought to himself. The current him had reached a terrifying level in his understanding of light and light. Coupled with his understanding of the light and darkness Tai Chi, he would be able to complete a transformation very soon. The next day, Wang Xian continued to treat all kinds of patients for free. This time, he ordered 20 patients to come up for treatment at once. The speed was doubled. In the afternoon, the number of patients treated had reached more than 1,000. At this time, the darkness in his body had also maintained a balance. There are quite a lot of people around, but they are all old and weak soldiers. I can treat such people effortlessly. At this moment, 2 young men and 6 or 7 girls came to the front of the Holy Medicine Clinic. A young man glanced at the people who were queuing up to treat them, and said with slight contempt, "Hee, let's go. I want to see who dares to refuse Princess Qingyan's invitation. This time, I'm here to avenge Princess Qingyan." The other young man was dressed in pure white clothes, and held a scepter of light in his hand. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, as he said with a smile, "The Son of Light Prince personally making a move will naturally make that young man feel ashamed. He's not just feeling ashamed. I reckon that in the future, only the Son of Light Prince will follow his lead." The sound of a few girls giggling could be heard from the side. They were all the most elite radiant priests of the Divine Light Empire. There were 6 to 7 girls, and each of them was close to the insightful emptiness realm. The prince known as the Son of Light had even reached the 2nd level of the insightful emptiness realm. "Everyone, what are you doing?" At the entrance of the Holy Medicine Clinic, a receptionist saw them walking over and asked, "The Son of Light's prince is here. Aren't you going to get out of the way quickly?" The young man snorted at the receptionist, and the group of people walked forward. "The Prince of Light." The receptionist was slightly shocked. She widened her eyes and looked at their figures in shock. Then she quickly chased after them. "The Prince of Light? Is that the Prince of Light?" "No way, that's actually the Prince of Light this." When the surrounding people heard their words, they revealed shocked expressions. Child of Light. This was a very honorable title among the radiant priests. It represented the most outstanding priest of the younger generation. Every young man and woman who could become the Child of Light's daughter of light would be a top radiant priest in the future. The current generation's Child of Light was a prince of the Divine Light dynasty. The identity and background of the Child of Light was even more powerful. She was the princess of Wuxia dynasty. That young man was actually the Son of Light. This Lord Son of Light, what is he going to do? The surrounding people were all stunned. "Lord Son of Light, young masters and young ladies, are you going to the 4th floor? Our Lord Priest Wang is treating a patient. Don't disturb him." The female receptionist caught up and saw them walking towards the 4th floor, so she quickly shouted, "Shut up. You have no right to speak here." The young man standing beside the Prince of Light revealed a hint of impatience when he heard the female receptionist's voice. He waved his arm, and a wave of light force collided with the female receptionist's body. The female receptionist who had just stepped onto the last staircase was knocked down by the force and fell down. She let out a cry of surprise. Wang Xian, who was treating the patient in the room, heard the sounds and cries of surprise from outside. A cold glint flashed across his eyes as he looked outside. Chapter 1533. 1533 Who the hell is the Son of Light? Get down. On the 4th floor of the Holy Medicine Clinic, the group of people who were treating Wang Xian heard the sound coming from outside. When they saw the cold expression on Wang Xian's face, they were slightly shocked and quickly looked behind them. At the entrance, the receptionist girl rolled down the stairs and stopped. Her face was filled with fear. She stared at the group of young men and women in front of her with fear. However, the group of people did not even look at her as they walked inside. The Prince of Light held the staff of light in his hand. His white clothes were full of holiness and pride. He looked like the Son of Heaven as he scanned the room on the 4th floor. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly as he walked inside. He completely ignored the astonished expressions of everyone in the room. Who is Pastor Wang? The Son of Light Prince swept his gaze across the people in the room. His gaze landed on Wang Xian, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Son of Light. In the room, the 20 people who were treating the illness were shocked. They didn't dare to look at them directly. When Old Hu saw them, he was also slightly shocked. He revealed a nervous expression on his face. My Lord Son of Light, may I know why you are here to look for Reverend Wang? Old Hu saw the cold expression on the Son of Light's face. He quickly walked out carefully and said respectfully to them, You must be that Reverend Wang. The Prince of the Son of Light completely ignored Old Hu. He looked straight at Wang Xian, who was sitting behind him, and asked indifferently, What are you guys here for? Wang Xian stood up and looked at the Son of Light and the rest with displeasure. He asked coldly, Kid, be careful of your identity when you speak to our prince. A lady's thin lips curled up slightly as she warned Wang Xian. He is indeed a very arrogant fellow. Does he think that he is powerful just because he is known as a benevolent person? The Prince of Light raised the staff in his hand and gestured to the person behind him. He sized up Wang Xian indifferently. Push our receptionist down the stairs and give me an explanation. Wang Xian glared at the Prince of Light and asked with a frosty expression. He completely ignored the question he had just asked. Old Hu, who was at the side, revealed a bitter smile. The person in front of him was the Son of Light. If a prince of the Divine Light Empire offended this person, how would he be able to survive in the world of radiant priests in the future? Radiant priests originated from the Divine Light Empire. It was not an exaggeration to say that a single sentence from the Divine Light Empire could seal Wang Xian's life. They could even kill him in secret. Why? When the Son of Light Prince heard that Wang Xian did not care about him at all, and even questioned him, his face instantly turned gloomy. I heard that Priest Wang's art of light is powerful. I am prepared to come here today to learn from you. Since you are not giving me face, don't blame me for not giving you face. As he spoke, he slowly raised the scepter in his hand. On the path of the Priest of Light, I, Tian Qingguang, am the Son of Light. In the same generation, other than the Daughter of Light, everyone else is trash in my eyes. Today, I will use my art of light to teach you a lesson. I will also let you know that you should not be arrogant and know your place. As the Son of Light, Tian Qingguang spoke, he raised his head slightly and pointed at Wang Xian. Hand of Divine Light. He shouted softly, The Hand of Divine Light, a Dharma idol of the first level of the Void Interpretation stage, emitted an incomparably resplendent light power and pointed it at Wang Xian. The Son of Light actually wants to challenge Priest Wang. This is over. When the people who came to see the Son of Light, Tian Qingguang, made his move, their expressions became extremely ugly. The shadow of a man's famous tree. The title of Son of Light and Daughter of Light wasn't something that could be casually called. It was conferred by the most powerful Radiant Priest of the current Radiant Priest, the Patriarch of the Divine Light Dynasty. Those who could be called the Son of Light were extremely powerful existences in the entire Radiant Priest generation, not to mention in the same generation. Although Priest Wang was very famous, he was still far from being called the Son of Light. They lowered their heads helplessly. Even if they were displeased with this Son of Light, they didn't dare to make a sound. Teach me a lesson. Wang Xian looked at the hand of Divine Light that was attacking him. His eyes revealed a hint of coldness. The 3 people who came yesterday also wanted to teach him a lesson. Their statuses were much higher than this Son of Light. However, they still fled dejectedly. In the future, I will definitely let you see me and kneel down respectfully. The Son of Light, Tian Qingguang, stared at Wang Xian arrogantly. The hand of Divine Light that he was controlling shone brightly. Hee. Wang Xian looked at the hand of Divine Light and laughed coldly. His voice was directed at the hand of Divine Light that was only 1 meter away from him. The entire hand of Divine Light collapsed and dissipated in an instant. Crash! At this moment, the curtains on the balcony behind Wang Xian were opened. He extended his hand slowly and clenched it in the air toward the Son of Light, Tian Qingguang, and the people behind him. Buzz! One by one, the hands of light appeared directly on their necks. What? The son of light, Tianqingguang, was slightly shocked. He looked at the hand of light that was grabbing his neck with a face full of astonishment. The group of young men and women behind him were also shocked. Horror appeared on their faces. Who does the son of light think he is? Wang Xian waved his arms slightly behind him. The hand of light grabbed their necks tightly and threw them out of the window. Break! Tianqingguang, the son of light, was horrified. The light on his body grew brighter. One by one, the protective armor and formation protecting his body were activated. However, what shocked him was that the level 4 or 5 void interpretation spell formations on his body had no effect on the light palm on his neck. In an instant, he felt the wind blowing on his face. He widened his eyes and saw that the person controlling his body was falling heavily down the stairs. How is this possible? He could not believe it. Both of his hands were desperately striking the light palm on his body. Bang, bang, bang. However, at this moment, the palm brought their bodies and slammed them heavily onto the ground. The powerful impact caused the son of light, Tianqingguang, to spit out blood. Ah! Beside him, another group of young men and women also spat out blood. Their faces were pale. What son of light, daughter of light? In my eyes, she's trash. Don't come looking for trouble in the future. Otherwise, it won't be so simple. At this moment, a deep voice came from above. When the son of light, Tianqingguang, who was lying on the ground, heard this, his face changed drastically. His face turned from green to white. In the surrounding area, there were thousands of people lining up in the Holy Medicine Clinic, as well as a group of passers-by. When they saw the young man and woman who were lying on the ground in a sorry state, and heard the voice from above, they were completely stunned. My God, what's going on? What happened to the son of light just now? How did he get thrown down? Chapter 1534. 1534-1530. For the world of radiant priests was shaken. That voice just now was the voice of Reverend Wang. He actually threw the son of light down from the 4th floor. What on earth is going on? My God! The son of light was actually thrown out from the 4th floor. Furthermore, Reverend Wang's words were simply too domineering. The son of light and the daughter of light are all trash in my eyes. This is simply the greatest humiliation to the son of light and the daughter of light. The child of light is a prince of the divine light empire. The identity of the daughter of light is even more noble. She is the princess of the Wuxia empire. Priest Wang's words will definitely offend the two of them. In front of the door of the sacred medical clinic, everyone in the vicinity watched in shock. This famous Lord Wang had actually thrown the child of light out, and even said such contemptuous words. Was he looking down on the daughter of light? That Lord Son of Light must have angered Reverend Wang when he entered the 4th floor, and was thrown out. Doesn't that mean that Reverend Wang is stronger than the Son of Light? Otherwise, he wouldn't have thrown him out. Reverend Wang is also very young. Since he dares to say such words, he must be stronger than the Son of Light. The group of patients who were waiting in line for treatment in the Holy Medicine Clinic stared at the Son of Light, who was lying on the ground, and whispered to each other. Looking at this Son of Light, their eyes were filled with schadenfreude. He deserved it for provoking Priest Wang. Nowadays, Wang Xian was practically the reincarnation of the God of Light in front of those who didn't have a good family background. In the span of more than 10 days, he had already cured more than 10,000 people for free. More than 10,000 people had been treated by the Daughter of Light. Damn it, you dare to insult me, you dare to insult me. The Son of Light, Tianqingguang, who was lying on the ground, had an extremely embarrassed look in his eyes. He had actually been humiliated in public. He had actually been thrown down from the 4th floor. This was simply a great humiliation. However, when he thought of how he had been thrown down without being able to resist at all, his expression became awkward again. He never would have thought that a young man would actually possess a power that he was unable to resist. This was simply impossible. He himself was placed in the vast region, and could be considered one of the top heaven's favorites. Prince we. A few young men and women at the side wiped the blood from the corner of their mouths. They stood up with an embarrassed expression. When they heard the discussions around them, they walked to Tian Qingguang's side with faces full of anger. Let's go, we're going back. Tian Qingguang glanced at the fourth floor coldly. He clenched his fists and his heart was filled with a violent killing intent. Gulp. At this moment at the fourth floor, 20 people who were preparing to see a doctor swallowed a mouthful of saliva. They stared at Wang Xian in disbelief, and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Reverend Wang had actually thrown the Son of Light out. In front of Reverend Wang, the Son of Light, who represented the highest honor among the priests of light, was like a piece of trash. He was thrown out casually. This, Old Hu was also stunned. He shook his head slowly. Are you all right? Wang Xian sat on the chair indifferently. He looked at the receptionist girl who had fallen on the stairs and asked, it's all right, Reverend Wang. Upon hearing Wang Xian's concerned words, the girl's face turned red instantly. She lowered her head and said hurriedly, her heart was beating rapidly, Reverend Wang is actually concerned about me. Did Reverend Wang throw the Son of Light out just now for me? This is simply too blissful. The female receptionist stood there with an excited look on her face. From time to time, she would raise her head to look at Wang Xian. Let's continue. Wang Xian did not mind throwing the children of light and the rest out. Instead, he spoke directly to the 20 patients in front of him. Yes, it's Reverend Wang. Seeing Wang Xian killing all the children of light in an instant with their own eyes, they became even more respectful. Wang Xian smiled and continued to treat them. However, Reverend Wang threw the children of light down from the 4th floor of the Holy Pharmacy. He even said that the matter of the children of light and the daughter of light being trash was instantly spread throughout the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. The position of the priest of light was very high in the ruins of God Country. Everyone knew about the child of light, the daughter of light. As for that priest Wang, everyone knew about him recently. Today the child of light had been thrown out by priest Wang. It could be said that it had caused a huge sensation in the world of priests of light. This meant that priest Wang was much stronger than the child of light. However, even so, the fact that he called the Son of Light's daughter of light trash made the other priests of light extremely angry. The current priest of light originated from the Divine Light dynasty, and the Son of Light was the prince of the Divine Light dynasty. The priest Wang calling the Son of Light was to humiliate their Divine Light dynasty and the elder ancestor of the Divine Light dynasty. After all, the title of the Son of Light's daughter of light was conferred by the elder ancestor. As for the identity of the daughter of light, there was no need to mention it. Some people even guessed that priest Wang was going to be done for. Not only did he offend the Divine Light Empire, but he also offended the daughter of light, Wu Qingyan. This person had an extremely terrifying background. Bastard, that bastard Tian Qingguang. Why did he provoke that evildoer for no reason? He actually made him call me trash. Inside the Guangming villa, Wu Qingyan's face was filled with anger as she slammed her hands on the stone bench in front of her and shouted angrily. Wu Qingyan, who was at the side, shrunk her head. Seeing her sister's angry look, she secretly smiled. You're still smiling. You're still smiling. Wu Qingyan glared at her sister. Sister, let me guess. That Tian Qingguang definitely saw that priest Wang didn't come yesterday and helped you teach him a lesson and curry favor with you. It's just that he didn't expect to meet a tough guy. Wu Qingyan smiled and stuck out her tongue. Such an evildoer. I'll get someone to check it out. Did you find anything? Wu Qingyan asked her sister. Not yet, but don't worry, sister. Our Wuji dynasty is not even as good as the He clan in terms of information in the vast region. It's easy to find that guy. Wu Qingyan said confidently. I'm very curious, where did that guy come from? HMPH, he actually dares to call me trash. Wu Qingyan gritted her teeth. She was a little angry and curious about that mysterious and powerful priest Wang. Find out that guy's identity. Wu Qingyan clenched her fists at the side, full of fighting spirit. She was also full of curiosity about a terrifying monster who was not even 30 years old. "Oh right, the black screen garden is about to open, right? I heard that Big Brother is coming." Wu Qingyan suddenly asked. "Yes, Big Brother is coming. I heard that many peerless talents in the vast area will come. There are only 2 talents in the world of our sect, He Yuan of the He clan, He Suiwen of the He clan, Big Brother and the others, the Bingxin dynasty, and so on." Wu Qingyan nodded her head. Chapter 1535. 1535 News from Lingjian Er. The Black Curtain Garden was a treasure land in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom, a place of the Divine Kingdom's medicinal garden. Every time it opened, it attracted countless people to come. The Black Curtain Garden had a special feature, forbidding cultivators above Profound Void Tier 4 from entering. The ruins of the Divine Kingdom was created by a longevity realm expert, and the order inside was set by that peerless expert. In order to protect the spiritual herbs inside, cultivators above Profound Void Tier 4 were forbidden to enter. Moreover, the Black Curtain Garden only opened once every 100 years. Every time it opened, it would attract countless people. The once-in-a-100-year opportunity was naturally not missed by the outstanding disciples of the various large factions in the vast region. Wu Qingyan and Wu Qingyan were chatting. In the outside world, in the Divine Light Medical Hall, many people were still discussing the matter of Priest Wang, the Son of Light, and the Daughter of Light. However, the Son of Light, Tianqing, did not immediately take revenge. In this place, the 3 strongest factions had set the rules. If one wanted to fight, they had to reach 10,000 meters in the sky. They could not affect the surrounding buildings. Other than themselves, no one dared to disobey the orders given by the 3 large factions. Since Wu Qingyan didn't make a move, Tianqing naturally didn't dare to bring anyone along. However, due to Tianqing and Wu Qingyan's identities, all the other radiant priests loudly criticized Priest Wang for being too arrogant and arrogant. Wang Xian didn't care about the matters in the outside world at all. He still treated patients for free during the day. The light and darkness had already maintained a balance. At night, he would study the blending of light and darkness. In a flash, more than 10 days had passed. Furthermore, Wang Xian had a month to treat everyone for free. In an entire month, nearly 100,000 people had been cured by Wang Xian. Defeating the Son of Light and curing nearly 100,000 people for free. In the ruins of the Divine Kingdom, Wang Xian's reputation could be said to be at its peak. However, in the world of radiant priests, Priest Wang's reputation was not that good. The blending of light and darkness is simple in theory, but it's still a little difficult to do. The power of the light and darkness Dragon Balls has yet to reach a balance. In the afternoon, Wang Xian sat on the balcony. In front of him, 2 palm-sized divine dragons, one black and one white, were circling around. He had been here for a month. Today, there were not many patients who needed free treatment outside. This also made him completely free. From time to time, he would treat 1 or 2 customers who paid to see him. Taking a sip of tea, Wang Xian kept the 2 light and dark divine dragons into the heart of light and dark. At this moment, the heart of light and dark was in the shape of Tai Chi. However, what was missing were the 2 black and white marks. His gaze swept across the sculptures of the girls around him, and he was slightly lost in thought. Suddenly, a familiar aura appeared, causing Wang Xian to be slightly stunned. He stood up hurriedly and swept his gaze downwards. He was slightly stunned as he looked at the middle-aged man, who was holding a golden long sword. A glint flashed across his eyes. "Uncle Hu, we won't be receiving any guests today." Wang Xian spoke to the outside, and his figure disappeared instantly. He appeared on the street below. Looking at the slightly tired middle-aged man in front of him, he walked over slowly. "Sect Leader Ling." He called out to the middle-aged man softly. "Sect Leader Ling, Ling Jianyar's father." Since Ling Jianyar left, it didn't take long for Sect Leader Ling to embark on the journey to find his daughter alone. Looking at him, Wang Xian sighed silently in his heart. Perhaps he didn't know yet. Sect leader Ling, who was walking on the road, heard Wang Xian's voice and was slightly stunned. He raised his head to look at Wang Xian. Clearly he was very stunned. Little brother Wang Xian. He walked over quickly with a face full of surprise and joy. Sect leader Ling, let's go to the tea house to chat. Wang Xian looked at sect leader Ling, who was a little travel-worn, and thought of Ling Jianer. He felt a little sad and said to him, Good. I didn't expect to meet little brother Wang Xian here. Let's go. Sect leader Ling revealed a look of surprise and joy. The two of them walked towards a tea house at the side. The tea was served and some side dishes were served. Wang Xian looked at the surprised sect leader Ling, and didn't know what to say. Tell him that Ling Jianer was dead? Perhaps he would be very sad. I really didn't expect you to come to the ruins of the Divine Kingdom, little brother Wang Xian. Sect leader Ling poured him a cup of tea, and said with a smile, I was looking for Ling Jianer. I came here by accident. Wang Xian smiled bitterly and said, Sigh. Sect leader Ling sighed heavily when he heard his words. Wang Xian looked at him and smiled bitterly. I found Jianer. What? At this moment, sect leader Ling's sudden words made Wang Xian stand up in disbelief. Sect leader Ling, you found her? Didn't she already? Wang Xian stared at sect leader Ling in excitement. What's wrong, little brother Wang Xian? Jianer is fine now. It's just that she has completely forgotten about me. It's the merciless way of the sword. Break your feelings, have feelings, and then break your feelings. Sect leader Ling stared at Wang Xian in astonishment and asked, I thought she was dead. Where is she now? Where is she? Wang Xian asked sect leader Ling in excitement. Jianer is fine. When I met her, she was in the Bingxin Empire, and was taken in as a disciple by an expert from the Bingxin Empire. When I found her, I wanted to take her away. However, she seemed to be resisting me and didn't recognize me at all. She had completely forgotten about me as her father. As sect leader Ling spoke, she took a sip of tea helplessly and looked at Wang Xian. I met little brother Wang Xian here. Perhaps Jianer still remembers you. Phew. Wang Xian exhaled heavily. Where is she now? I don't know either. Jianer followed the experts from the Bingxin Empire to the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. Now the Bingxin Empire doesn't allow me to get close to her. However, I guess Jianer should be in the base area of the Bingxin Empire's ruins. Sect leader Ling said to Wang Xian. Don't worry, sect leader Ling. I will bring Ling Jianer back. I will let her remember everything from the past. Wang Xian took a deep breath and said solemnly. Okay. Sect leader Ling looked at him and nodded. I will go and ask about the Bingxin Empire's base area in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. As Wang Xian spoke, his figure disappeared. Sect leader Ling saw him leave, and revealed a smile. He heaved a sigh of relief. Sect leader Ling, I'll get someone to arrange a place for you. I'll bring Jianer back. A moment later, sect leader Ling heard Wang Xian's voice. At this moment, Wang Xian was heading towards the Bingxin Empire. The Bingxin Empire was only 500 kilometers away from the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. It was very close. And the Bingxin dynasty also had a base here in the ruins of the Kingdom of God. After getting the news from Lao Hu, he immediately rushed over. Chapter 1536. 1536. See you in 1536. At the bank of Bingxin Lake, about 100 kilometers away from the Holy Medicine Clinic, Wang Xian arrived in an hour by beast car. This is the place. All the businesses around here belong to the Bingxin dynasty. The driver stopped the car and spoke to Wang Xian. Wang Xian got off the beast car and looked at a lake with a radius of about 5 kilometers ahead. There were many sailboats in the lake, and the entire area was extremely beautiful. Many buildings were built around the lake. This place was much more prosperous than the area near the Holy Medicine Clinic. The Ice Heart Empire was a first-rate force. Among the first-rate forces, they were considered top-notch existences. As they were relatively close to the ruins of the Divine Kingdom, They occupied a circumference of 20 kilometers. As for the three major forces, they occupied an area of 50 kilometers around them. Dong 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 dong. At this moment, Wang Xian sensed something trembling in his storage spiritual bag. He opened the storage spiritual bag and stared at Ling Jianyar's heart. He couldn't help but reveal an excited expression. According to Ao Jian, as long as he was near Ling Jianer with this heart, his heart would tremble violently. Ha 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 ha. He couldn't help but stand there and laugh maniacally, attracting the curious gazes of the people around him. He's really not dead, he's really not dead. Wang Xian's body was trembling slightly, and his face was full of excitement and excitement. As the saying goes, a woman chasing a man is separated by a heavy veil. Ling Jian was pursuing him in the cemetery of the transvestite and gave him pastries every day. In addition, Ling Jian was extremely beautiful, which made Wang Xian have a favorable impression of her. It would be a lie to say that he was not tempted. However, he was strictly controlled by his wives at that time, so he did not agree or reject her. However, men were cheap. They only knew how to treasure when they lost something. When Ling Jianer left in that way, it made him regret it. Especially when he received the news that Ling Jianer might die in the He clan. The emotions that he had accumulated, and the explosion of the heart of light and darkness, caused him to be possessed. He lost his rationality and control. Everything was because of Ling Jianyar. Now that he was about to find her, Wang Xian was extremely excited. I'm such a scumbag. Wang Xian laughed self-deprecatingly. Regardless of whether Ling Jian was a scumbag or not, he must get her back. Through his heart's senses, Wang Xian looked towards the lake. From his senses, Ling Jian was in a sailboat in the lake. Wang Xian scanned his surroundings and saw the location of the rental boat. He walked over quickly. After renting a boat, Wang Xian's body shook and the boat sped forward. He stood at the bow of the boat and locked his eyes on the front. The heartbeat in the Naling bag became more and more intense, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. Wang Xian stared ahead nervously. A beautiful figure appeared in his line of sight. After Wang Xian looked at her closely, a smile appeared on his face. She was still alive. She was dressed in golden clothes and held a golden longsword in her hand. She stood there like an unsheathed sword. However, her expression was extremely cold at this moment. There seemed to be no emotion in her eyes. Other than the clothes, she looks exactly the same as the first time I saw her. Wang Xian looked at Wang Xian's figure and smiled. He was in a good mood. The ship was getting closer and closer. Ling Jianer, who was standing on the deck, was as cold as ice. On the other side of the bow, there were more than 10 young men and women talking. Each of them was dressed in golden clothes and had a proud expression on their faces. It was obvious that they were not ordinary disciples. The ship slowly approached and was only 100 meters away from Ling Jianyar. However, Ling Jian did not even look at Wang Xian. Buzz! Ling Jianer! His figure flashed and appeared directly in front of Ling Jianyar. With a smile on his face, he called out softly, However, when Ling Jianer saw Wang Xian appearing in front of her, she was slightly shocked. She placed her right hand on the hilt of her sword and stared at him coldly. Who are you? Ling Jianer stared at him emotionlessly and asked coldly. I am Wang Xian. We met in the cemetery of demi-humans and demons in the Luhai district. A few months ago, you suddenly left, and I came here to look for you. Now I have finally found you. Come back with me. Don't continue to cultivate the heartless sword principle. Follow me and return to the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian sized up Ling Jianer and said excitedly. I don't know you. Get lost immediately. Ling Jianer stared at Wang Xian without the slightest fluctuation in her eyes and shouted coldly. Wang Xian saw her expression, and his face was slightly embarrassed. As sect leader Ling had said, Ling Jianer, who cultivated the heartless sword principle, had already forgotten about them. Jianer! Wang Xian gritted his teeth. He stared at him affectionately. There was once a sincere love that was placed in front of me. I didn't cherish it. I only regretted it when I lost it. This is the most painful thing in the world. If the heavens could give me another chance, I would say 3 words to that girl. I love you. If I have to add a time limit to this love, I hope it will be 10,000 years. Lunatic. Ling Jianyar's expression didn't change at all as she spat out these 3 words coldly. This caused Wang Xian's expression to freeze instantly. Junior sister Jianer, who are you talking to? Who are you? At this moment, a young man's voice came from the front. The young man stared at Wang Xian with a cold expression on his face. A lunatic scram. Ling Jianer glanced at Wang Xian indifferently and said coldly, "Kid, I think you are courting death, right?" The young man at the side stared at Wang Xian with a cold gaze and said coldly. Wang Xian frowned slightly. "Disappear from our sight within 3 seconds. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences." The young man stared at Wang Xian with a hint of killing intent in his eyes. Ling Jianer, who was beside him, also swept a cold glance at Wang Xian without saying a word. "When we first met, you were also so cold. I'm not in a hurry." Wang Xian looked at Ling Jianer and suddenly smiled. His body moved, and he returned to his ship. "Brother Jiu, what's the situation?" At this moment, the voices of young men and women could be heard from the back of the ship. "It's nothing. A reckless fellow. He must have seen junior sister Jian Yar's beauty and wanted to strike up a conversation with her." The young man took a glance at Wang Xian's ship and said to the people behind him, "Oh, he wants to court our junior sister Bing Jianyar. He's simply courting death." A few young men and women walked over and said with a smile. Ling Jian smiled faintly at the group of people. Her gaze swept across the ship that Wang Xian was on. She was a little puzzled. This was the second person who called her Ling Jian. However, she was clearly called Bing Jian. "You even changed your name? It's the Heartless Sword Principle." Wang Xian, who had returned to the ship, looked at Ling Jianyar's position and frowned slightly. He even used such touching lines from Grandpa Xing. However, Ling Jianyar was still unmoved. It seemed that her heartless swordsmanship had been completed. Chapter 1537. 1537. The Pursuit of 1537. Wang Xian had a deep understanding of the power of the Heartless Sword Principle. First, he would dig out his own heart, condense his sword heart, and forget about love. Forget about the most important person in his heart, and cut off all friendships, love, and family ties. Even Ao Jian and the Golden Swordfish clan, who were bound by their bloodline, would pass their hearts to Wang Xian before practicing the Heartless Sword Principle. They were afraid that they would disobey the Dragon King's orders. Ling Jianyar had clearly learned the basics. She had already forgotten her feelings. According to the subsequent practice of the Heartless Sword Principle, she needed to be affectionate. She needed to reunite her love, kinship, and friendship. However, this process was also very complicated. It might take decades, or even hundreds of years, or even more, to go from being emotionless to affectionate. When I first met Ling Jianer, she was also a troubled girl with a twisted heart. She was still bewitched by her powerful charm. This time, it will be the same. The corner of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly as a smile appeared on his face. Compared to the news of Ling Jianer's death, she was still alive. This was already the best thing that Wang Xian could think of. Lying quietly on the ship, Wang Xian looked at Ling Jianyar's position with his dragon eyes of light and dark fire. A smile appeared on his face. Time passed slowly. Not long after, Ling Jianer and the rest returned. The group walked towards a luxurious mansion. Wang Xian had been following behind them the entire time. With his current understanding of light and darkness, he hid himself. Even a powerhouse at level 8 of the see-through void tier would not be able to sense his existence. Following behind Ling Jianer, she came to a separate courtyard. A servant brought her dinner. After eating, Ling Jianer took out her long sword and waved it around in the courtyard. Wang Xian sat in the shadow of the roof and watched with a gratified expression. Ling Jianer practiced her swordsmanship until around 9 o'clock. After that, she returned to her room and sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate. After looking at Ling Jian, who had entered the state of cultivation, Wang Xian stood up slowly. After hesitating for a moment, he moved his arm, and two sculptures appeared in his hands. Two sculptures. One of them was Wang Xian himself, and the other was Ling Jian. This was what they looked like when they first met. He waved his arm gently, and the sculptures landed at the entrance. Following that, his figure disappeared immediately. He blended into the darkness and flew towards the Holy Medicine Clinic. He wanted to settle the matters at the Holy Medicine Shop and follow Ling Jian in the future. Whoosh! Not long after Wang Xian left, Ling Jian's door opened automatically. She had already stood up and walked to the door, while sitting cross-legged on the bed. She looked at the two sculptures on the ground. She frowned slightly and picked them up. A cold look slowly appeared in her eyes. Wang Xian's sculpture was crushed immediately. She looked at her sculpture and was slightly stunned. Then she placed it into her interspatial ring. She came to the courtyard and scanned her surroundings. Her brows were tightly knitted. Having severed her emotions and 6 desires, she was extremely perceptive. Just now, she had a vague feeling that someone was watching her. However, she didn't know where the person was. From the looks of it now, it was indeed the case. What does that young man want to do? Ling Jian mumbled. She stood in front of the door for a while before entering the room to continue her cultivation. Uncle Hu, I might be leaving for a period of time. Give this interspatial ring to the hall master as the fee for this period of time. Also, take this interspatial ring for yourself, Uncle Hu. After returning to the Holy Medicine Clinic, Wang Xian called old Hu over and said to him, "Oh, Reverend Wang, are you going to?" Uncle Hu looked at him in surprise. "I won't be leaving for the time being, but I have some matters to take care of," Wang Xian said directly. "Reverend Wang, I'll inform the head of the clinic about this place. The head of the clinic will probably keep it for you. You can rest assured and take care of your own matters," Old Hu said with a smile. "That's good too. Thank you for this period of time." Wang Xian patted Lao Hu's shoulder and left with a smile. "Young Master Wang, although you are extremely mysterious, you are a good person." Lao Hu looked at Wang Xian's figure and smiled faintly. He looked at the 2 interspatial rings in his hands. When he opened them, his eyes widened slightly and were filled with shock. Sect Leader Ling. When he arrived at the inn where Sect Leader Ling was staying, Wang Xian's voice could be heard from inside. "Creak. Little brother Wang Xian, come in." The window was opened and Sect Leader Ling's voice could be heard from inside. "Sect Leader Ling, I saw Ling Jian." Wang Xian entered and spoke directly. "Is Jian?" Sect Leader Ling looked at Wang Xian and spoke. "She doesn't recognize me either. Her emotionless swordsmanship has been cultivated to the point of forgetting emotions. However, I will make her remember everything from the past." Wang Xian spoke to him. After hesitating for a moment, he continued. "Sect Leader Ling, I plan to hide by Ling Jian's side to protect her from now on. Please make a trip to the North Stream Sea area and head to the Emotionless Sword Principle sect. That sect was founded not long ago. Ren Xingqian is there too. Get them to come over." "Sure. With you by Jian's side, I will be more at ease." Sect Leader Ling nodded. After the 2 of them conversed for a while, Wang Xian left directly and flew towards Ling Jian. When he came to the roof of Ling Jian's house and realized that the statue had disappeared, he was also slightly stunned. Cultivating the Heartless Sword Principle will cause one's perception to be extremely terrifying. It seems like I have to hide even more. He mumbled as he lay on the roof and watched Ling Jian, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed cultivating quietly. Early in the morning, Ling Jian woke up and began to practice her swordsmanship. Not long after, a servant brought her some food. After eating, Ling Jian went to a library in the mansion and quietly flipped through all kinds of books. In the afternoon, the young man from yesterday came to look for Ling Jian to play, but was rejected by Ling Jian. At night, she continued to practice her swordsmanship and sat cross-legged to cultivate. Wang Xian had been guarding her in the dark for an entire day. At night, he waved his arm, and the two sculptures were thrown to the door again. He hoped that he could use this method to awaken some of her memories. However, when he saw Ling Jianer crushing his sculptures into dust, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. Fortunately, she kept her sculpture. "Your Highness, the Emperor is here, and he is calling for you." In the morning, a maid came to the library and said to Ling Jianer, "All right, I'll be there right away." Ling Jianer nodded and put down the book. She followed the maid out. The Emperor of the Bingxin Empire? He seems to be a powerhouse at level 7 of the see-through realm. Wang Xian thought to himself. He hid under the light and followed behind quietly. After the day yesterday, he had also learned some news. For example, Ling Jianer was now the princess of the Bingxin Empire, by a patriarch of the Bingxin dynasty, as the last disciple. Chapter 1538. 1538 Suppressing all heaven's favorites 1. Greetings, Your Majesty. Haha, Jianer is here. Sit down, sit down. In a palace that looked like a small palace, Ling Jianer entered and respectfully greeted the old man sitting in the middle. The old man was wearing an ice-white robe, and there was a white dragon embroidered on his chest. It was a dragon from the transcendent continent. This was the monarch of the Bingxin Empire. The Bingxin monarch's face was filled with smiles when he saw Ling Jianer arrive. This woman was brought back by the grand ancestor of the empire not too long ago, and she possessed extremely terrifying talent. She was only in her 30s, yet she already possessed the strength of the second level of the profound void tier. Most importantly, she possessed terrifying battle prowess, and she was completely capable of fighting against opponents of a higher level. She was even more powerful than the most monstrous disciple nurtured by the 3 great superpowers. This made the Bingxin king very happy. For the entire empire, to have such a proud son of heaven appearing in the Bingxin Empire was a good thing. However, what made him helpless was that Ling Jianer was too cold, as though she had no feelings. "It's the Emperor." Ling Jianer nodded and sat at the side. In the room, there were a few princes and princesses. The most outstanding one was the 9th prince. He was over 100 years old, and had the strength of a 3rd-level profound void martial artist. Over 100 years was still very young for a lifespan of 5,000 years. In a few days, the Black Curtain Garden will open. You must be careful when you enter. At that time, our Bingxin Empire will send some experts at the peak of the 3rd-level profound void martial artist to follow you. They will focus on training, and do not encounter any danger. The king of Bingxin said to them, "Don't worry, father. I will definitely protect my younger brothers and sisters." The 9th prince said to the king of Bingxin, "Haha, good. With Jinghuan around, father will feel much more at ease." The king of Bingxin smiled. He was very satisfied with this son of his. Everyone chatted with each other. Ling Jianer sat there and seldom spoke. She only spoke a few sentences when she was asked about her. She appeared to be a little cold. Wang Xian hid in the void of 1,000 meters and looked down. Half an hour later, Ling Jianer stood up and left. Only the king of Bingxin and the 9th prince were left in the room. "Father, can you betroth Jianer to your son?" Just as Wang Xian was about to leave, he suddenly heard the 9th prince's words. This made him slightly stunned, and he slowly closed his eyes. "Jinghuan, are you interested in Jianer?" The king of Bingxin knocked on the table gently, and asked with a smile. "Yes, imperial father. I will not hide it from you. I am in love with Jianer." A hint of passion flashed across the 9th prince's eyes as he nodded his head. Whether it was Ling Jianyar's talent or her temperament, they both made him rather tempted. Now that Jianyar has joined our Bingxin Empire for such a short period of time, it would be bad if imperial father were to marry her directly. Wait a little longer. Wait a little longer. The king of Bingxin said with a smile on his face. "Thank you, father. Thank you, father." The 9th prince stood up excitedly and bowed. "Haha." The king of Bingxin laughed. "Damn it. A guy who is more than 100 years old still wants to marry Jianer." Wang Xian, who was in the air, narrowed his eyes slightly. A hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. It seems like I can't hide in the surroundings every day. I have to take action. With Ling Jianyar's current attitude, if the king of Bingxin were to marry her to this ninth prince, she might not know how to reject him. Wang Xian frowned and stared at Ling Jianyar's figure. His figure moved and followed behind her. Sister Ling Jian'er, 2 days later, the prince of Wuxia city invited us to attend a banquet. Don't forget about it. Ling Jian'er and the princesses and princes of the Bingxin Empire walked out. A prince said with a smile, "Prince of Wuxia city? Is he the prince of Wuxia city of Wuji Imperial City?" Ling Jian'er was slightly interested and asked them. "That's right, the prince of Wuxia city of Wuji Imperial City. I heard that the prince of Wuxia city wants to use the black curtain heart fruit in the black curtain garden to increase his strength. The black curtain heart fruit is very precious, so we are preparing to invite the disciples of the major forces. If we can get it, I hope we can sell it to him." The prince nodded. "I heard that the 2 peerless heavens favorites from the sect will be there as well. The beast-taming young master from the He clan's forest will be there as well. At that time, the heavens favorites from the vast region will be gathered." A princess said as her eyes lit up. "Then I want to take a look." Ling Jian'er nodded her head. She was also filled with curiosity towards the heavens favorites from the vast region. A banquet? Why don't I go there and meet Ling Jian'er formally? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and thought to himself. However, I don't seem to have an invitation letter. Wouldn't it be bad if I went in directly? Wang Xian frowned slightly and followed Ling Jian'er to her residence. He continued to watch her practice her swordsmanship. At night, Ling Jian'er sat cross-legged on the bed and cultivated. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment before flying out. The direction of the He clan is over there. Wang Xian hid in the sky and flew towards the He clan. According to the conversations of the princes and princesses of the Bingxin Empire, He Yuan would also be attending the banquet. The Forest Beast Master. This title has a personality. Wang Xian smiled and arrived at the He clan's base in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. As the He clan with the best first-rate forces, they also occupied quite a lot of territory in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom. However, what made Wang Xian frown was that He Yuan was nowhere to be found when he used his dragon eyes of light and dark fire to search the entire He clan from the sky. What's going on? Is he not here yet? Wang Xian hesitated. He moved his body and came to the position below. He looked for some people and asked around. However, He Yuan was nowhere to be seen. Is he not here yet? Wang Xian frowned and walked slowly on the road. He was thinking about how to get an invitation letter. I should go to Guangming Villa to look for Wu Qingyan. He is the princess of Wuji Empire. The younger sister of Wuxia City should have an invitation letter? Wang Xian hesitated in his heart and walked towards the seat in front. The territory of Wuji Empire was in the middle of the He clan and Bingxin Empire. He happened to pass by when he went back. However, he had only met Wu Qingyan once. Furthermore, he had taught her a lesson. If he were to go, "Your Highness the Crown Prince, we have arrived at the mansion." Just as Wang Xian was walking on the road, deep in thought, a voice suddenly came from the front. "Crown Prince." Wang Xian was slightly taken aback. A look of astonishment appeared on his face. What a coincidence! Just as I was dozing off, someone sent me a pillow. He mumbled as he looked ahead. A handsome and extraordinary young man got down from a luxurious car. The young man was wearing black clothes. On his chest, there were 4 big white words. Wuji World. The Crown Prince, in the Imperial Dynasty. The only one who could have this title was the heir to the throne of the next generation. The heir to the throne of Wuji Dynasty represented the top existence that would be able to cover 30% of the world in the future. And Wuxia City was the crown prince of the Wuji Dynasty. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.